Chapter 2275. 2275 Northern Howling Serious Pack. Buzz. Boss Wang, I'll continue. Under the ice layer of the Arctic northern region, Invincible battle technique saw Wang Xian taming two split-mouthed fish. He stretched his body and shouted at him. Go, Chunibyu. Next time, attract more sea monsters over. If you attract more, I'll give you a commission. Wang Xian smiled at him and said, he was in a great mood. He just needed to set up a formation here and wait. There was no danger at all. There were also people helping him with his work. Finally, he just needed to give him a war pet. How could he find such a good teammate? Looking at the Chunibyu in his battle technique, Wang Xian's eyes were filled with satisfaction and anticipation. Commission? This guy really thinks I'm a part-time worker. He wants me to be invincible in my battle technique. This time, I'll see if I can meet a level 5 Eternal Lord. As long as I can meet him, I'll lure him over and escape immediately. You want me to work for you? HMH, don't even think about it. When Invincible in his combat techniques heard Wang Xian's words, he continued to fly deeper into the sea with a dark face. Beast in front, come out. This time, he was more than 10,000 kilometers deep. When he realized that there were no sea monsters attacking him, he shouted impatiently. Waves of aura spread out in the surroundings. Oh right, I have some divine fruits at the level of an eternal god lord. Let's see if I can attract the sea monsters. A person with great skills was bold enough to take out an eternal god lord fruit that contained a powerful energy and swim under the ice. Soon, hundreds of sea monsters attacked him. Seeing the 9 wisps of divine fire and the sea monsters at the peak of the divine realm, he was furious. You bunch of animals still dare to attack my invincible battle technique? Go to hell. As he was very dissatisfied with Wang Xian, invincible battle technique would definitely not waste time to attract these godly state sea monsters over. Not to mention wasting time, he wouldn't get any benefits. He wasn't willing to do something that would benefit Wang Xian even if there were no benefits. After defeating a few hundred sea monsters at the peak of the divine fire realm, Invincible in battle tactics continued to charge towards the surroundings. It would be best if a level 5 sea monster from the Eternal Lord came. Come on. He mumbled as he swam and sized up the surroundings with his unscrupulous gaze. If it were any other level 1 Eternal Lord, they would definitely not dare to seek death like this. If there were powerful sea monsters lying in ambush, they could be killed instantly. They wouldn't even be able to react in time to return to the Eternal Kingdom. Awur! Invincible, who was walking around, finally encountered some movement. That is, the Northern Howling Skywolf, or nearly 100 Northern Howling Skywolves. They are hunting. When he heard the roar, his eyes lit up, and he looked over with excitement. The Northern Howling Skywolf was a Tier 2 Eternal God Lord creature. It liked the cold, so it lived in the extremely cold northern region. They were water elemental, and they were also known as the Northern Howling Ice Wolves. They're actually surrounding a school of fish. If I disturb their good work, will they chase after me? Nearly 100 Northern Howling Sirius. If I can capture these Northern Howling Sirius, I'll definitely want a few. I'll choose one after another. The Northern Howling Sirius is too handsome. In the future, I'll switch between the 2 mounts. When the other group of rich kids are driving their supercars, I'll ride the 2nd level Eternal God Lord Northern Howling Skywolves. Invincible in battle techniques could not help but fantasize. Let go of that school of fish and charge at me. He roared loudly and directly charged towards the Northern Howling Skywolves. Close to 100 Northern Howling Skywolves that were wreaking havoc in the school of storm fish looked over in astonishment. More than a dozen howling firmament wolves had food in their mouths as they stared at him coldly. Get your ass over here. Unrivaled battle technique waved his arm, and countless ice arrows appeared within a 100-kilometer radius. The ice arrows directly covered the howling firmament wolves. Ao. One by one, the howling firmament wolves flew into a rage. Their ice-cold eyes stared at him as more than a dozen of them instantly attacked him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Unrivaled battle techniques' silver-white longsword continued to swing out. One after another, attacks covered the other northern howling wolves. Ao. This time, the entire pack of wolves was enraged by unrivaled battle technique. They madly chased after him. "You bunch of beasts, if you have the guts, come and chase me." Unrivaled battle technique immediately fled frantically. He taunted the northern howling wolves behind him. Ao ao. The northern howling sky wolf at the very front let out an angry roar and leaped up from the bottom of the sea. The seawater behind him surged violently, and his entire body turned into a white stream of water, pouncing heavily towards Invincible Battlemaster. "I'll go!" He roared loudly and hurriedly fled forward. Purng! However, his back was directly pounced by the northern howling sky wolf, and his body staggered. "You damned beast, after I subdue you, let's see how unrivaled battle technique will deal with you." Unrivaled battle technique turned his head and roared at the northern howling sky wolf. Seeing that unrivaled battle technique was not injured and actually dared to provoke him, the northern howling sky wolf was incomparably furious. It opened its mouth and a terrifying water pillar shot towards him. When the water pillar landed on his body, it actually increased his speed. "Awur! Awur! Awur!" He roared indignantly as he raised his head and roared. The northern howling celestial wolves immediately surrounded him from both sides, preparing to surround him. Invincible combat style ignored him and fled with a dark expression on his face. "Damn it, they actually want to surround me. But they are close. You bunch of beasts, just wait for your death." After fleeing desperately for a few minutes, he was hit more than 10 times in the middle. Seeing that he was about to enter Wang Xian's position, he roared furiously in a low voice. "Awoo!" At this moment, a northern howling sky wolf flew over from the right. It opened its bloody mouth and bit on Invincible's body. "Boss Wang, kill them quickly." Invincible's body was held by the northern howling sky wolf. He growled at Wang Xian with a gloomy face. "Ah, good. Well done, well done." Wang Xian, who had already sensed the commotion ahead of time, revealed an excited expression. When he saw all the northern howling sky wolves entering the formation, he couldn't help but shout out loud. "Buzz, buzz, buzz, buzz." In the surroundings, the black hole disturbance formation instantly rose up and covered the entire space. 99 northern howling sky wolves, ha! When he saw the black hole disturbance formation covering the northern howling sky wolves, Wang Xian couldn't help but laugh out loud again. "Boss Wang, I'm being bitten right now. Can you make your move quickly?" Invincible battle technique was still in the mouth of a northern howling celestial wolf. When he saw Wang Xian sizing up the pack of wolves with glowing eyes, his face turned extremely dark as he yelled out in annoyance. "It's fine. I can't bite you to death." Wang Xian didn't pay attention to him. He looked at the vigilant northern howling celestial wolves and attacked them one by one with chains. There were nearly 100 northern howling celestial wolves. They were able to fight against a level 3 existence of the Eternal Lord. However, they were not enough for him. This fellow. Seeing that Wang Xian was ignoring his invincible battle technique, the corner of his mouth twitched. He glared at Wang Xian fiercely. Chapter 2276. 2276 2276 Ice Drill Crocodiles. Give me a few of the 99 howling firmament wolves. I had to risk my life to attract this pack of howling firmament wolves over. You have to know that other than me, who else can get a pack of wolves over? You have to know that they are extremely cunning. If you don't give me a few of them, you will be too inhumane. An angry voice sounded beside Wang Xian's ears. I can give you a northern howling celestial wolf. Wang Xian glanced at him and said indifferently, You're bullying me. You're squeezing me. You're inhumane. Invincible's eyes lit up when he heard Wang Xian's words. However, he still pretended to be angry and roared. An adult northern howling celestial wolf battle pet is worth 20 to 30 sea monsters of the second level of the Eternal Lord level. However, if there's an early stage, you can kill 20 to 30 sea monsters of the second level of the Eternal Lord level. Also, do you think it's that easy to set up such a formation to trap experts? This requires at least tens of millions of divine stones. Tens of millions of divine stones are enough to buy a God Lord rank battle pet. Also, do you think it's easy to tame an adult sea monster? How many Master Beast tamers can do that? You lured 99 northern howling sky wolves, and you are still not satisfied with just one battle pet. Originally, I could have refused to give it to you according to our agreement. Now that I see that you're not bad, I'll give you one. Don't be insatiable. If you... Wang Xian stopped taming the howling firmament wolves and brainwashed Invincible battle technique with a solemn expression. All right, Boss Wang. One is enough. I'm already very satisfied. Boss Wang, you've worked hard. Invincible battle technique was stunned for a moment. Then he burst into laughter. He walked behind Wang Xian and pinched his shoulder. Don't disturb me. Beast taming consumes too much mental strength. Sigh, overconsumption will leave behind a chronic illness. Wang Xian shook his head and said slowly, Hee, then I won't disturb you, Boss Wang. I'll protect you from the side. If any sea monsters rush over, Invincible will be the first one to rush over. Invincible chuckled and walked to the side. This guy seems to be right. A war pet is very valuable to begin with. Coupled with a powerful formation to trap it and the taming, forget it. Invincible in battle tactics, am broad-minded. One is fine too. Invincible in battle tactics muttered as he walked to the side and sized up the pack of wolves. He had to consider which one would be better as a mount. Idiots are so gullible. Wang Xian was mumbling as he tamed the northern howling celestial wolf. His eyes were glowing as he looked at the 99 northern howling celestial wolves. Even if he was rewarded with one, there were still 98 left. This was a huge amount of wealth. Now that he had sold them, it was 100% enough for him to reach the level of the Eternal Lord. If he tamed enough sea monsters of the Eternal Lord, he might even be able to level up a few levels. Of course, the prerequisite was to raise the level of the Dragon Palace. Battle tactic number 2, continue with your work. After using 3 to 4 days to tame 99 Eternal Lord level 2 northern howling celestial wolves, Wang Xian said in a good mood. My name is Invincible in battle tactics. Remember, Invincible in battle tactics. This time, go deeper and set up some formations. Invincible in battle tactics flew over and glared at Wang Xian as he spoke. All right, Chunibyu. Wang Xian nodded his head and flew forward. The Chunibyu in this area had already searched the area. He had to go further. If he ran too far, the sea monsters that were chasing him might give up. Wang Xian and the rest flew forward. They flew for a distance of 20,000 kilometers. Next time, get more sea monsters. I have high hopes for you. Wang Xian patted Invincible's shoulder and started to set up a formation around him. Don't worry, there will be more Eternal Lord level 3, level 4, and level 5. Invincible's face was filled with confidence as he raised his head slightly and flew forward. He was holding an Eternal Lord level fruit in his hand as if he was swaggering around the city. Wang Xian looked at his figure with admiration. This time, I've really made a huge profit. Maybe that kid can really attract the level 5 sea monsters of the Eternal Lord. This time, I have to set up more formations to prevent the sea monsters from being too strong. After that, Wang Xian set up the formations and waited there leisurely. This time, he only came over after 3 hours when he was invincible in his battle techniques. No, he should have been attacked by a sea monster all the way here. The explosive ice bear was a 20-meter-long explosive ice bear. Its huge paws kept smacking his body. Wang Xian could see that Invincible's eyes were a little pale. It was obvious that he had been badly beaten up. Wang Xian accepted the explosive ice bear, which was a level 3 Eternal Lord, with a smile. In the next 10 days or so, he might have been unlucky and only attracted more than 20 level 5 Eternal Lord level sea monsters one after another. This made Wang Xian a little unhappy. You're squeezing me so much and you want me to get more sea monsters for you? My Invincible battle technique's target is the level 5 sea monsters of the Eternal Lord. What Wang Xian didn't know was that the Invincible battle technique had encountered more sea monsters under the ice for the past few days. However, he didn't provoke them on purpose. This fellow had given him too little. He couldn't get anything from them even if he tried to attract them. He wasn't stupid to be invincible in battle technique. He had worked as a coolie for nothing. That was why he had gained so little in the past few days. Tier 5 sea monster, Tier 5 sea monster, where are you? Your master misses you. Invincible in battle technique muttered as he scanned his surroundings. Your master has been looking for you for 10 days to half a month. Where are you, little boy? He shouted as he walked. What he did not know was that a huge silvery white pupil covered in frost was staring at him from above. Unrivaled battle technique did not sense it. His eyes were still looking around listlessly. Boom! Just as unrivaled battle technique walked over, a huge mouth instantly attacked. The speed was so fast that unrivaled battle technique did not have the slightest ability to react. The terrifying mouth instantly swallowed unrivaled battle technique into its mouth. Whoa! An excited sound rang out, and a sea monster that was at least 2,000 meters in size let out a low roar. It had an incomparably terrifying sharp mouth, and its entire mouth occupied 1/3 of its body. Its entire body was covered in a layer of ice, and it was like a diamond. Ice Drill Crocodile, an Eternal God Lord rank 5 Ice Drill Crocodile. It was a terrifying existence that was comparable to some underground deep-sea whales. Ka. But soon, when the Ice Drill Crocodile returned to the ice layer, the sound of collision kept coming out of its mouth. Woo-woo. It let out a low roar and couldn't help but open its mouth. Purng. Ice Drill Crocodile, you beast, you actually dared to sneak attack me. You're dead, you're dead. Invincible battle technique flew out of the Ice Drill Crocodile's mouth. A trace of heat flashed in its eyes, followed by a furious roar. Woo! When the Ice Drill Croc heard his words, a cold expression appeared in its eyes. Its body moved, and it directly swallowed Invincible battle technique into its mouth. The difference in strength made it unable to resist. Chapter 2277. 2277 Young man 2277, work hard. Gulp. This time, the Ice Drill Crocodile did not bite into its mouth, but directly swallowed it into its stomach. Umph. It let out the low growl. Although it did not understand why the prey in its mouth did not die, now that it had entered its stomach, it would be digested very quickly. Whoa! It called out again with some disdain, preparing to digest the food. Bang, bang, bang. However, at this moment, it suddenly felt something tightening behind it. Something was about to come out. An extremely furious look appeared in the eyes of the Ice Drill Alligator. You bastard, you damn bastard. I will ride on your head every day from now on. Invincible battle technique flew out from behind the Ice Drill Alligator. As for the location, it was naturally there. Invincible battle technique roared furiously the moment he charged out. However, this time, he didn't dare to stand there and shout anymore. Instead, he ran in the direction of Wang Xian with all his might. Woo-woo. This time, the Ice Drill Alligator was completely enraged. It swung its gigantic tail and swept towards Invincible battle technique. Bang! A terrifying collision sound was heard. Invincible battle technique flew hundreds of kilometers away and somersaulted tens of thousands of times in the air. What the fuck? Invincible battle technique's face was completely black. He steadied his body and roared. He turned around and stared at the Ice Drill Crocodile. You bastard, come with me if you have the guts. He turned around and taunted the ice drill crocodile. Roar. The ice drill crocodile's roar changed a little. One could see its anger. In its eyes, Invincible battle technique was just a weak ant. An ant actually dared to provoke it 3 or 4 times. It absolutely could not let it go. Boom! The ice drill crocodile was very fast. It did not even take a second to cover a distance of 100 kilometers. And Invincible was also desperately trying to escape. If you have the guts, why don't you hit me with your tail again? He roared. Bang! A loud sound. If you see it, you missed. You bastard, you can even miss your position. He shouted as he fled. The courage of Invincible was something that very few people could achieve. An even more furious roar sounded. Invincible in battle techniques soon began his own escape route. He didn't know how many times he was swallowed and how many times he was swept by the tail. Why is there the sound of that middle-aged man screaming? It shouldn't be. That middle-aged man's treasure is so awesome. Wang Xian, who was resting cross-legged, suddenly heard a sound. He immediately looked around. Bang, 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 bang. At this moment, he saw countless ice arrows landing on the body of the Invincible warrior one after another. Even though he had the protection of a supreme treasure, his hair was in a mess at this moment. He looked extremely pathetic. Boss Wang, kill it for me. Kill it for me. A shrill roar was heard. Those who heard it were in tears. Eternal Lord Level 5, Ice Drill Crocodile. At this moment, Wang Xian's expression turned grave. This sea monster was in existence on the same level as him. However, the surrounding formations have already been set up. There shouldn't be much of a problem. However, it might take some time to tame it. Boom, boom, boom. Wang Xian thought to himself. The formations were activated immediately. Black hole disturbance. Water dragon restraint. Ice seal for thousands of miles. 3 formations were activated in an instant and surrounded the ice drill crocodile. Within a radius of more than 1,000 kilometers, the seawater condensed into 2 gigantic water dragons. The water dragons charged towards the ice drill crocodile. Roar. The ice drill crocodile realized that it had been ambushed. It let out a ferocious roar. The glaciers all over its body exploded as it charged towards the 2 water dragons. Boom, boom, boom. However, the water dragons were able to resist the rank 5 Eternal God Lord sea monster and entangled the ice drill alligator. However, this array formation wouldn't last long. In the next moment, the array formation took effect. The 2 water dragons immediately turned into ice dragons and coiled around the ice drill alligator's body. The seawater within a 1,000-kilometer radius was instantly frozen. Invincible in battle techniques was trapped inside and could not move at all. Formation, the divine mountain is pressing down. During this period of time, Wang Xian continued to prepare the formation. An earthen yellow mountain peak that was emitting a thick luster like a special planet appeared in the sky and continued to press down on the ice drill alligator. There was no pause in the middle of the 3 consecutive terrifying attacks. A large amount of silver blood oozed out from the ice drill alligator's body instantly. Its eyes were filled with fear and anger. Crack, crack, crack. Its terrifying tail swept away the ice layer and attacked the divine mountain in the sky violently. Formation, darkness invasion. Wang Xian stood in the distance and continued to cast the formation. He didn't plan to use his own strength. He had left behind a trump card. Buzz. More than 10 seconds later, a squirming mass of darkness attacked the ice drill alligator. The darkness landed on its body and squeezed into its body crazily. This guy is so strong. The formation master is indeed awesome. Invincible in battle tactics saw that the ice drill alligator was restrained and looked at Wang Xian's attack. His face was filled with astonishment. How can this guy be so freakish? He can even deal with a level 5 Eternal Lord, and he's even a beast tamer master. Invincible was trapped by the ice formation and couldn't get out. He could only look on with amusement. Formation, illumination. Wang Xian stood in the distance and released formation after formation. He didn't want to kill the ice drill alligator. Instead, he wanted to subdue it. However, before he could subdue it, he had to make it not dare to resist. As they were of the same level, he had to fulfill several conditions in order to subdue it. The time required was also several times longer. The trapped ice drill alligator couldn't escape at all, especially after Wang Xian's continuous attacks. However, it still resisted fiercely. Even after 5 hours, it was still extremely ferocious. Wang Xian wasn't in a hurry. He continued to torture it. He didn't believe that the ice drill alligator wouldn't be afraid or submit. Following that, Wang Xian spent a whole day and a half to make the ice drill crocodile lie there listlessly. The following taming process was much easier. It took about 4 hours. The first level 5 sea monster of the Eternal Lord. If I sell it, I will steadily upgrade myself to level 2 or even level 3 of the Eternal Lord. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. His face was filled with excitement. After withdrawing the formation, Wang Xian sat on the ice drill alligator and healed its injuries. Then he summoned its divine kingdom over. Wang Xian took a look inside and realized that there were many good treasures inside. This made him very happy. This trip here was worth it. I want this ice drill alligator. I want it. At this moment, a voice sounded from the side. In your dreams. Wang Xian glanced at him and asked. This is what you said. You can choose one from all the battle pets. Let me tell you, don't even think about cheating now. Invincible battle technique pointed at Wang Xian with a flushed face and roared angrily. Idiot, you want to leave just because you helped me capture an eternal level 5? Are you stupid or am I stupid? Wang Xian looked at him with disdain. If you can get a few more, I can consider it. Young man, work hard. Chapter 2278. 2278 2278 Escaped. Young man, work hard. When Invincible in combat heard the words, Wang Xian, his facial expression changed drastically. Work hard. Is it easy for me to lure an ice drill alligator? If it were anyone else, they would have died long ago. Huff huff. Invincible in combat was breathing rapidly. However, he knew that the chances of Wang Xian giving this ice drill alligator to him were not high. After all, the value of all the sea monsters that he had attracted over the past few days was not as high as this ice drill alligator. The next level 5 sea monster of the Eternal Lord must be given to me. Otherwise. Invincible's face was filled with anger as he stared at Wang Xian and roared loudly. However, he didn't know how to threaten Wang Xian after a while. He couldn't defeat it either. What else could he do? Quit. That would be even worse for him. He was still thinking of riding a level 5 battle pet of the Eternal Celestial Master. Lure 4 of them over and I'll give you 1. Wang Xian said to him indifferently. No, there are too many of them. 4 of them. Wang Xian, don't go too far. 3 of them. Otherwise I, Invincible in battle technique, will quit. Invincible in battle technique growled with a gloomy face. He was a little mad. This fellow was too much. All right. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and nodded his head. This fellow was really anxious. He couldn't defend him too much this time. Wang Xian was prepared to continue working with this young man in the future. There weren't many such partners. Their levels were low, but they had the defense of supreme treasures. They could attract sea monsters without being eaten by them. Advance another 10,000 kilometers. Invincible battle technique said to Wang Xian with a dark face as he flew straight ahead. Wang Xian smiled and followed behind. After advancing for more than 10,000 kilometers, Wang Xian set up a formation there. Invincible battle technique continued his journey and fought for his powerful mount. After the formation was set up, Wang Xian waited there leisurely. Time passed day by day. He had left Xiantian Academy for about a month. It's almost time for the monthly lectures. Should I rush back? Could this Chunibyu have run away? He hasn't been back for 5 days. 5 days later, Wang Xian looked at the time and mumbled to himself. That Chunibyu had run away for about 5 days. Wang Xian had been out for almost a month. Let's wait a little longer. I'll send a message to Yu Bingbing to inform the students. Wang Xian took out his AI and sent a message to Yu Bingbing to let her inform her classmates. Boss Wang, kill it for me. At this moment, an extremely angry voice was heard, accompanied by a terrifying aura. Wang Xian looked ahead and saw a figure flying over. No, it should be falling over. At the back, a gigantic ice drill alligator was following him. Another ice drill alligator of level 5 of the Eternal Lord. Not bad. Wang Xian was all smiles. Next, just like last time, he spent some effort to tame this ice drill alligator. Why did you spend 5 days this time? Your efficiency is a little lacking. Wang Xian said to the Chunibyu as he tamed the ice drill alligator. I don't know either. My luck is bad. He rolled his eyes but didn't tell the truth. The reason why he wasted so much time this time was because he had encountered many sea monsters of level 2, level 3, or even level 4 of the Eternal Celestial Master in the beginning. However, he didn't attract them to Wang Xian's side. From his point of view, he had no part in attracting them. He wouldn't do such a thing. It was not easy for him to get rid of those sea monsters. It took him 4 days to encounter an ice drill crocodile. He was chased for an entire day before he was lured here. When he saw that Wang Xian had tamed it and there was no part for him, he felt angry. Wait here. Next time, the sea monsters that I bring will be my mount. Invincible battle technique shouted loudly. All right, the next sea monster you bring will be your mount. Wang Xian said with a smile. You said it. Invincible battle technique roared and flew forward with high morale. This guy must be looking for sea monsters of the Eternal Lord level. He wouldn't bring anyone below that level. Wang Xian looked at his back and raised his eyebrows slightly. Forget it. He will leave after he returns. The resources he has now are almost enough to upgrade to level 2 of the Eternal Lord. He mumbled and continued to wait after setting up the formation. Level 2 would be able to fight against level 8 of the Eternal Lord. At this level, he was also one of the top experts in the entire natural selection continent. Ah, Boss Wang, we have struck it rich. We have struck it rich. Quick, quick. Catch them, catch them. However, after just 1 day, an excited voice was heard. The voice was extremely excited. Wang Xian looked over and saw that an invincible combat technique was being held in the mouth of a seabird-like sea monster. This is... All of a sudden, Wang Xian's pupils contracted slightly as he stared at the 3 sea monsters. They had snow-white bodies that resembled birds. Their bodies were like ice, and they had a pair of icy wings. Their bodies were emitting a cold aura. Their tails were like fish tails. Ice-splitting swallowfish. 3 ice-splitting swallowfish of level 6 of the Eternal Lord. Wang Xian's expression changed drastically and he couldn't help but exclaim. Ha, quick, 3 mounts. I only need one of them since I'm invincible in my battle techniques. I only need one. Invincible in battle techniques was still shouting at Wang Xian excitedly. Even though he had been chased for a long time and was caught in the mouth of the ice-splitting swallowfish, his heart was still burning. The ice-splitting swallowfish was a level 6 sea monster of the Eternal Lord. It looked very cool. If I had such a mount, the world would be focused on me. Fuck. When Wang Xian saw the 3 ice-splitting swallowfish flying in his direction, his face turned black. Without any hesitation, he turned around and fled into the distance. He couldn't even withstand one of the 3 sea monsters of the Eternal Lord level. Furthermore, he didn't have a treasure like Invincible in battle techniques, nor did he have the ability to escape in an instant when he was at the level of the Eternal Lord. If he was caught up by them, he would be completely finished. Wang Xian's face was pitch black as he ran out frantically. He wanted to escape to the top. Chirp, chirp. A sound that sounded like the chirping of a bird came from behind. Wang Xian sensed that the 3 ice-cracked swallowfish had noticed him and were prepared to attack him. This guy. Wang Xian's face turned black. With a wave of his arm, he released the formation set up there. Without hesitation, he turned around and continued to flee. What's going on? Boss Wang, what are you doing? Invincible, who was in the mouth of the ice-split swallowfish, was a little stunned when he saw Wang Xian fleeing frantically. He shouted with a black face. It was not easy for him to encounter the 3 ice-split swallowfish. He was extremely excited as he charged forward to provoke them. In the end, he was lured here. Did you escape? What did he mean? Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the array formation in this space was instantly activated. One by one, a binding force appeared, and terrifying black holes appeared one after another. Chirp. When the ice-splitting swallowfish saw that they were actually being attacked, they furiously flapped their wings. Rays of ice light shot out in all directions, and the surrounding array formation broke apart. The black hole disturbance array formation also slowly collapsed. When Invincible saw this scene, he was also a little stunned. Chapter 2279. 2279-22. 79 million miles of escape. That guy is no match for the ice-cracked swallowfish. That guy actually escaped. The ice-cracked swallowfish had thrown Invincible due to the activation of the formation. At this moment, he looked at Wang Xian's disappearing figure and mumbled. His expression was extremely ugly. He didn't expect that guy to be no match for the 3 ice-cracked swallowfish. He escaped directly. My ice-cracker swallowfish mount is gone. No, I still have the ice drill alligator mount. Old Wang, don't run, my mount. Invincible Battle Technique's face was pitch black. He revealed a look of grief and indignation. His ice-cracker swallowfish mount was gone. However, he had to have a level 5 Eternal Lord mount. Now that Wang Xian had escaped, if he did not follow him, where would he find him? Even if he were to look for him, would he admit to it? He would be able to give him a mount of the ice drill alligator. No, I can't let him go. Invincible Battle Technique's face was dark as he chased after Wang Xian with all his might. Chirp, chirp. The 3 ice-cracked swallowfish behind them broke the formation set up by Wang Xian. Their cold eyes were also chasing after Invincible Battle Technique and Wang Xian. Especially Invincible Battle Technique. An ant actually dared to provoke them. Chirp, chirp. An ear-piercing sound spread across a radius of a few million kilometers. Wang Xian's face turned black when he heard the sound. The speed of the ice-splitting swallowfish was extremely fast to begin with. Its level was 1 level higher than his, so Wang Xian's speed was much slower. Wang Xian looked up and gritted his teeth. Then he attacked directly into the ice layer. Chirp, chirp. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, terrifying ice arrows were heading straight for him. They were heading straight for him at a distance of more than 1,000 kilometers. Wang Xian's face turned black. He could only turn around and wave his arm. Boom, boom, boom. The 5 elements grinding mill blocked the 2 ice arrows. Without any hesitation, he continued flying upwards. However, just as he was blocking the ice arrows, the Invincible Battle Technique behind him had also caught up with him. Boss Wang, don't even think about escaping. My battle pet is still with you. Don't even think about escaping. The Invincible Battle Technique roar was heard. You damn fellow, how dare you attract a level 6 sea monster of the Eternal Lord? Why don't you just die? Wang Xian also roared at him angrily. I didn't know that you couldn't deal with a level 6 sea monster of the Eternal Lord. You didn't tell me. I risked my life to attract 3 sea monsters for you, yet you still blame me. You are too inhumane. Invincible Battle Technique followed behind Wang Xian and replied in a speechless manner. Damn. Wang Xian didn't waste any time with him. He broke through the layers of ice and flew in. Invincible battle technique followed closely behind. As Wang Xian was about to break through the layers of ice, he wasn't shaken off. Chirp, chirp, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a sharp cry came from below. Following that, attacks were launched one after another. Invincible battle technique, who was behind Wang Xian, was hit directly. However, he wasn't injured as he had the protection of the ultimate treasure. Instead, he smashed towards Wang Xian directly. Bang! The tremendous force caused Wang Xian to stagger. It's not my fault. I was the one who hit you when the ice-splitting swallow fish attacked from behind. Invincible battle technique's voice entered his ears. Can your defense wrap me up? Wang Xian asked with a dark face. No, I can only protect myself. Invincible battle technique replied. Wang Xian did not say another word. Instead, he tried his best to dig upwards. Finally, after flying for more than 1,000 kilometers in the ice layer, he encountered a passageway. The passageway should have been opened by other sea monsters. He didn't care about the passageway of any sea monsters. He hurriedly ran along the passageway for some distance before continuing to fly upwards. Chirp, chirp. Behind him, the ice-splitting swallow fish followed closely behind. Fortunately, Wang Xian was only one level away from it. Otherwise, he would have been killed by the ice-splitting swallow fish. Even so, Wang Xian was in an extremely pathetic state. Flee, flee, flee with all his might. Later on, Invincible battle technique was afraid that Wang Xian would shake him off. He tied his energy to Wang Xian's body and followed him. Wang Xian didn't have the time to pay attention to him. The moment he fled, he spent a total of 5 to 6 hours shuttling through the ice layer. I'm about to reach the surface of the ice. I'm about to reach the surface of the ice. At this moment, Wang Xian was staring at the top. His yin-yang 5 elemental dragon eyes saw that he was out of the ice layer after a few tens of kilometers. Below him, the 3 ice-splitting swallow fish seemed to have stopped pursuing him. They seemed to have left as well. However, Wang Xian did not dare to make any promises. He could only brace himself and run far away. Splash! After dashing out of the ice layer, Wang Xian heaved a sigh of relief and continued to flee into the distance. After flying for more than 10,000 kilometers, Wang Xian was certain that the 3 ice-cracking swallows were not chasing after him. He heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the ice, panting heavily. Don't even think about running away. Give me an ice-drilling crocodile. At this moment, Invincible in combat walked up to him and stared at him intently. You almost killed me. Do you still want an ice-drilling crocodile? Wang Xian looked at him and asked indifferently. That's because you don't have the ability. Even I, a level 6 Eternal Lord, was attracted to you. Don't blame me if you can't catch it. In any case, I can't. Give me an ice drill croc. Invincible battle technique sat in front of him and said with a red face. I'm still 1 level 5 sea monster away from the Eternal Lord. I'll give you 2 northern howling celestial wolves. Wang Xian said indifferently. No, don't go overboard. You have to give me an ice drill croc. Invincible battle technique grabbed Wang Xian's arm to prevent him from escaping. You can kill a warrior, but you can't do without an ice drill crocodile. Seeing Wang Xian staring at him, he shouted with a cold face. I can give you one, but I have to sell it to you at the price of a level 5 sea monster cub. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Wang Xian said. I helped you tame it. You will sell it to me in the end. We agreed on 3. If you lose one, you will have to pay a small price. Forget it if you don't want it. Invincible battle technique was extremely furious. Wang Xian responded slowly. But I don't have so many elixirs in my hands. I'll owe them to you first. Invincible battle technique said with a dark face. Wang Xian looked at him and couldn't believe it. I said I'll owe them to you. Do you think Invincible battle technique will go back on his word? If you want to look for me, you can ask anyone in the land of battle technique. Would Invincible battle technique go back on his word? Invincible in battle techniques stared at Wang Xian and said through gritted teeth, "All right, remember, you owe me 10 grade 5 Eternal Lord elixirs." Wang Xian thought for a moment and nodded his head in agreement. It just so happened that he would have an excuse for him to be the coolie the next time. Other things aside, this fellow's ability to attract sea monsters was not bad. In the next moment he would be able to tame the ice-cracked swallowfish. Quick, help me tame the ice-cracker croc. Invincible battle technique said with a burning face. Let me make it clear first. You don't have the kingdom of God to suppress it. If you want the ice-cracker croc to be your mount, you have to cultivate a good relationship with it. Otherwise, it will eat you up. Wang Xian reminded him lightly. I know this. You don't have to worry about it. Hurry up, the icecracker croc mount of the level 5 Eternal Lord. Ha! Crazy laughter in the two voices sounded. Chapter 2280. 2,280 sea monsters attacked the city. Come here, put more blood on its heart and let the ice drill alligator absorb it. Only after it has familiarized itself with your aura can it listen to you. Wang Xian took out the ice drill alligator and said to Invincible in battle tactics. As for the need to put more blood on it, it was purely because he was unhappy with the middle-aged man and did it on purpose. Do it as you wish. The middle-aged man didn't mind at all. As long as he could have the ice drill alligator as his mount, what was a little blood? The process of taming the ice drill crocodile was a little longer than the others. It took a few hours. Moreover, Invincible in battle techniques was also afraid that the ice drill crocodile would run away. He pestered Wang Xian to help him increase his relationship with the ice drill crocodile. Wang Xian didn't reject him. This middle-aged man still had a lot of room for him to make use of. Awesome. I'm invincible in battle techniques. With the level 5 ice drill crocodile as my battle pet, I can roam the world. In the greater world, in the entire universe, I will be the supreme. 10 hours later, Invincible in his battle techniques stood on the ice drill alligator and laughed maniacally. The ice drill alligator, which was about 2,000 meters long, emitted a cold and violent aura. The Invincible in his battle techniques stood on it. Indeed, he had the temperament of a heaven's favorite who stood above everything and dared to compete with the greater world. Come here and be a Chunibu. Add something to your brain so that I can collect my debt in the future. Wang Xian told Invincible battle technique. If he wanted the AI, he would trick it to come and work next time. Collect the debt? How could I, Invincible battle technique, owe you? I will return it to you very soon. Invincible battle technique raised his head slightly and landed beside Wang Xian. He took out the AI. Beep. However, just as he turned on the AI on his arm, a red alert suddenly sounded on the AI. The notifications kept ringing. Invincible battle technique was slightly stunned, and a serious expression appeared on his face. He immediately began to check. Oh no, Tianbei High City has been attacked by sea monsters. He looked at the message asking for help, and his expression changed slightly. He immediately looked at the place and found that it was not far from Tianbei High City. They had been chased for tens of millions of kilometers and had already fled to the edge. Boss Wang, a small city in the land of battle tactics, has encountered an attack from sea monsters. I want to rush over immediately. Invincible battle tactics said with a grave tone. Oh, then you can leave with an AI. Wang Xian nodded his head. Boss Wang, we are comrades after all. Let's go, come with me. Invincible battle tactics rolled his eyes and pulled Wang Xian along as he said. It's okay to go and take a look. If I encounter danger, I'll leave immediately. Sure. Wang Xian didn't reject being pulled onto the ice drill crocodile by Invincible battle technique. He wanted to see if he could get any benefits from the sea monsters attacking the city. Invincible battle technique ice drill, charge. Invincible battle technique stood on top of the ice drill crocodile's head and ordered loudly. Wang Xian was speechless. Ice drill battle technique? This name. The monster attack has just started. The strongest one is only an Eternal Lord level 5 sea monster. Fortunately, it's still okay. Speed up, Invincible battle technique ice drill. Invincible battle technique stood on top of it. He looked at the information on the AI and shouted loudly. Can't the strongest level 5 Eternal Sea monster withstand the attack? Wang Xian looked at him and asked curiously. Tianbei Haicheng is just a small city in the most remote part of the battlefield. There are only 1 million people in there. It's relatively remote and hasn't been attacked by sea monsters for thousands of years. Right now, there's an Eternal Lord level 5 guy guarding the city. FUCK, he's not even as invincible as me in terms of combat techniques. The AI will inform everyone within a radius of 50,000 kilometers. If you can send reinforcements, send them. We're not too far away from here. Today, I'm invincible in terms of combat skills and my savior. He raised his head slightly and stared at the area in front of him. His face was filled with arrogance. The ice drill alligator was very fast. Wang Xian stood in the sky and looked ahead. He flew out of the extremely cold northern region which was covered by glaciers and continued to advance forward. Boom, 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 roar, walala. 5 minutes later, a city appeared in their line of sight. This city was indeed a small city in the Tianzi continent. However, there was clearly a problem ahead. In the sky, an incomparably huge hurricane was swirling. The hurricane was incomparably terrifying as it slowly advanced forward. All the buildings were instantly destroyed by the hurricane. Below, millions of sea monsters were roaring below. In the middle, a few sea monsters that looked like giant octopuses were wreaking havoc. Each of them was more than 10,000 meters in size. On the city wall, the metal cannons were shooting out streams of terrifying energy to bombard the area below. However, half of the city wall had already been destroyed by a giant octopus. Demon Scroll Octopus, a level 5 Demon Scroll Octopus of the Eternal Lord. There are still 5 of them. Wang Xian looked over and frowned slightly. Right in front of him, an old man and a demon roll octopus were fighting with their lives on the line. In the surroundings, the sea monsters charged towards the Steel City and fought with the experts guarding the city. In the middle, there were already thousands of corpses. There are 70 to 80 Eternal Lord level sea monsters. Wang Xian took a glance at the sea monsters. Their strength was several times more than that of Tianbei Haicheng. On the city wall, there were still many people holding high-tech weapons. They were attacking the sea monster with an embarrassed expression. The rescue has been sent out. If the strong ones don't come, our Tianbei city will be destroyed. Even if it isn't destroyed by the sea monster, it will be destroyed by this hurricane. On the city wall, there were more than 10,000 people holding high-tech weapons. An old man said with a heavy tone, "Oh no, there's another sea monster over there. It's the ice drill alligator. Why is the ice drill alligator here? Isn't this kind of sea monster in the extremely cold sea?" Someone noticed an ice drill alligator flying over, and his expression changed drastically. The hearts of the surrounding people also sank, and despair appeared on their faces. "You bunch of animals, how dare you invade my land of battle techniques? I'm invincible in battle techniques, and today, I'll destroy you bunch of damn animals." A furious roar came from the position of the ice drill alligator. This is? At this moment, everyone from Tianbei Haicheng was slightly stunned. Invincible in battle techniques? Could it be that young master? What's the situation with the ice drill alligator? That young master's pet? No, that young master can't suppress a pet of this level, right? Some people looked over with confused faces. "Boss Wang, there are 5 level 5 Eternal Masters. Help us defend against 3 of them." At this moment, Invincible, who was standing on the ice drill croc, noticed the sea monsters on the battlefield. He spoke to Wang Xian with his strength. "The risk is too great. 5 Level 5 Eternal Masters Elixirs. Wang Xian said calmly. Boss Wang, we humans are showing weakness in the Tianzi continent. When we encounter sea monsters, we should 10 Level 5 Eternal Lord Elixirs. What the fuck? Alright, 5 then. But Boss Wang, you have to hold on. Alright, you are an array master. It's best for you to defend the city and wait for reinforcements. Boss Wang, summon the other ice drill crocodile. Invincible battle technique said with a dark face. Following that, he waved his arm and a small particle flew above him. Wang Xian flew to the side and another ice drill alligator appeared beneath him. He raised his head and looked at the small particle that was aiming at him. It seemed to be a video recording particle. Was this guy trying to record his heroic appearance? Chapter 2281. 2281-2281-000 Wolves roared. A bunch of beasts invading my battlefield, asking me if I'm invincible. The video particles floated above Invincible, and he began to shout. Battle tactic ice drill, kill. Woo-eh. He moved his arm, and a silver-white longsword appeared in his hand. The ice drill crocodile beneath him let out an angry roar and flew towards the city wall. Bang bang bang. Countless ice arrows shot towards the sea monster below. Invincible young master. The elder who was fighting with the magic scroll octopus looked over, his face filled with shock and joy. With my invincible battle technique today, these beasts will not be able to break through the city. Invincible battle technique shouted with a dignified face. It's really that invincible young master. Hiss, this young master actually used an adult ice drill crocodile as his mount. He's so powerful. He's worthy of being called invincible young master. Look at the back. There's another ice drill crocodile. There's a young man on it. Is he also the young master of the land of battle techniques? On the city wall, everyone was shocked when they saw Invincible of battle techniques riding on the ice drill crocodile's mount. Some of them looked at Invincible battle technique, Wang Xian and the rest, and heaved a sigh of relief. Boss Wang, hurry up and help. You are the one who received the reward. Invincible battle technique transmitted his voice to Wang Xian, asking him to take action immediately. Wang Xian rolled his eyes. This fellow now owed him 15 grade 5 Master God elixirs. However, he didn't hesitate. With a move of his body, the ice drill crocodile beneath him attacked the ground below. He flew directly toward the city wall. Roar! At the location below, the demon roll octopuses saw the ice drill alligator attacking them. They let out a roar and charged toward the ice drill alligator directly. Retreat and defend the city wall, Boss Wang. Quick, quick, it's up to you. Riding on the ice drill alligator, Invincible was shocked when he saw the 2 demon roll octopuses attacking him. He quickly shouted loudly. In the end, he didn't forget to shout at Wang Xian. He knew what he was capable of. He still had to rely on Wang Xian in this battle to defend the city. After all, he was a formation master. Formation good weather. Wang Xian landed on the city wall and ignored Invincible. With a wave of his arm, he immediately began to set up a formation. Tian Beihai Cheng, who was on the city wall, looked over. But Wang Xian used his water elemental energy to set up a formation in the void. Very soon, drops of rain fell from the sky. The rain seemed to have been attracted and fell toward the hurricane in front of him. Countless drops of rain began to resist the hurricane, causing its speed to slow down gradually. He used his water elemental energy to suppress the hurricane. After more than 10 seconds, Wang Xian's formation was completely completed. Formation, wall of 10,000 miles. Following that, Wang Xian continued to cast the formation and landed on the city wall below him. Boom, boom, boom. A city wall of 500 kilometers was erected and a line of defense was erected in front of him. Hiss, this lord is a formation master, a powerful formation master. Formation master, It will be much easier for us with a formation master around. This wall of 10,000 miles can withstand the attack of the Eternal Lord's sea monster. Everyone from Tianbeihaicheng looked over with excitement on their faces. They looked at Wang Xian with gratitude on their faces. Retreat and defend. Wait for reinforcements. The invincible voice continued to ring out. He immediately ordered the ice drill crocodile to hide behind. Put, 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 pa. However, at this moment, the two magic scroll octopuses wrapped their tentacles around the ice drill crocodile. Roar, roar. The ice drill alligator that was entangled revealed an angry expression. It roared furiously and continued to fight. Boss Wang, quick, give me some support. You still have so many war pets in your hands. Let's fight. Invincible battle technique lay on the body of the ice drill alligator and tried his best not to be hit. However, the two magic scroll octopuses were wrapping around his ice drill alligator. Injuries still appeared on the ice drill alligator's body. Trash. Wang Xian spoke to Invincible in disdain and immediately set up the formation. At this moment, the last devilish tornadoes that were not entangled landed a huge attack on the wall of the formation. The terrifying attack caused the wall of the formation to tremble. Formation, 5 true fire, incinerate. Wang Xian's arm condensed the formation for more than 10 seconds and headed towards the invincible support of the battle formation. Following that, Wang Xian continued to set up the formation. In the sky, an incomparably huge and terrifying heavenly blade slowly condensed. Boom! At the position below, the demonic tornado octopus continued to attack the wall of 10,000 miles. Cracks slowly appeared on the wall of 10,000 miles. Formation, heavenly blade slash. Wang Xian waved his arm and the huge golden heaven's saber condensed in the sky attacked the demon-like octopus below. The Formation Master's formation is indeed powerful, but it's too much of a waste of time. It's much weaker than a personal battle. Wang Xian mumbled and continued to set up the formation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. From below, Heaven's saber slash attacked the demon-like octopus continuously and cut off one of its huge tentacles. Roar, roar, roar. The demonic tornado octopus was extremely furious. Its central mouth let out an earth-shattering roar. Roar, roar, roar. At the lower position, more than 1 million sea monsters were attacking the wall of 10,000 miles at the same time. Sir, be careful. We will defend against the other sea monsters. At the back, many experts from Tianbei High City walked over and reminded Wang Xian. As everyone knew, formation masters were weaker in close combat. They were a little worried that Wang Xian would be attacked. I'm fine. Wang Xian shook his head and waved his arm. Awur, awur, awur. Following that, wolf howls sounded in the sky. 1, 2, 3, and soon, a few thousand northern expedition wolves appeared above the wall of 10,000 miles. Every single northern expedition wolf exuded the aura of a peak godly state. Behind them, everyone in Sky North Sea City stared at this scene in shock, their eyes slightly widened. Awur! In the next moment, nearly 4,000 northern expedition wolves raised their heads and let out a wolf howl. The entire pack of wolves let out a howl, and the aura of a peak deity charged towards the million sea monsters. When the aura of these 3,000 to 4,000 northern expedition wolves erupted together, it caused all the sea monsters to tremble. The aura of a real northern expedition wolf pack was no weaker than the aura of dozens of sea monsters at the first level of the eternal celestial master level. He has stolen the limelight. Because of Wang Xian's support, Invincible looked behind him after dodging the entanglement of the two magic scroll octopuses. His face revealed a look of envy. Are these war pets? There are a total of 3,000 to 4,000 war pets at the peak of the godly state. This is too powerful. That lord is too powerful. Are these the core elites of the land of combat arts? Everyone in Sky North Sea City was shocked when they saw this scene. There were only about 100 Peak God Realm experts in Sky North Sea City. Roar. Bang. 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 However, 3,000 to 4,000 Northern Expedition wolves could not stop the million sea monsters. 10 seconds later, the million sea monsters continued to erupt. Bastard, you're courting death. Just as Wang Xian was about to release the 99 Northern Howling Celestial Wolves, a loud roar came from the west. A terrifying aura rushed over. Help had arrived. Chapter 2282. 2282 2282 owed money based on his ability. More than 10 figures were charging towards them at a terrifying speed. Each of them had an aura that was no weaker than that of a 3rd, 4th, or even 5th or 6th rank Eternal Lord Sea Monster. When North Sky Sea City was attacked by the sea monster, they immediately sent out reinforcements. If it wasn't for the fact that this place was quite far away and the expert's teleportation array needed to be transferred, there might have been experts coming over long ago. Even so, within 7 to 8 minutes of the sea monster's invasion, a group of experts had rushed over. There are already experts here to stabilize the situation. So many ice wolves. Is it a beast tamer? It's rare for a beast tamer master to have so many ice wolves. The eyes of the dozen or so experts who rushed over swept over this area. When they saw the ice wolves standing on the wall of 10,000 li, their eyes revealed shock and confusion. Someone had come to support them earlier than them, and it was a powerful beast tamer master. It was unexpected. That's Invincible. Invincible is here too. How does he have an Eternal God Lord level 5 ice drill crocodile mount? One of them looked even more shocked when he saw the Invincible battle technique on the ice drill crocodile. They naturally understood that the Invincible battle technique was the most outstanding genius in the entire immortal battle technique. It was the most outstanding immortal battle technique in tens of millions of years. He had reached the Eternal God Lord realm at such a young age and was greatly favored by the ancestor. However, even if he was favored, he could not possibly have a level 5 Eternal God Lord mount. Putting aside whether or not they had a level 5 Eternal God Lord mount in their immortal battle techniques, with his current strength, even if they had one, they would not give it to him. Such a powerful mount required at least a level 5 Eternal God Lord expert to ride it. This was an adult level mount, not a joke. If it were to backfire, it would be a huge problem. As for the stronger ones, they could use their eternal divine kingdoms to suppress their mount's lairs and make them submit completely. There were very few cultivators who rode on a mount that was stronger than them. Let's kill these sea monsters first. Although everyone had doubts, they still charged straight into the battlefield. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the overwhelming attacks landed on the battlefield hundreds of kilometers away, and the entire battlefield was instantly covered in energy. One of the old men who had mastered 6 laws directly charged at the Eternal God Lord level sea monsters. Roar roar roar. A few magic scroll octopuses let out a roar, and their eyes revealed a look of terror. Their figures flashed slightly, and they instantly left. When the other Eternal God Lord level sea monsters saw the magic scroll octopuses escaping, they did not hesitate and returned to their nests immediately. In an instant, the Eternal God Lord level sea monsters on the battlefield disappeared instantly. Kill the rest of the beasts. When Invincible in battle saw the Eternal God Lord level sea monsters escaping, he raised his head slightly as he was being suppressed. His face revealed a look of savagery. He was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. He directly attacked the sea monsters at the demigod level. With a slash of his sword, the frozen longsword swept across the entire battlefield. More than 100,000 sea monsters were instantly killed. Following that, another slash of his sword covered the entire battlefield with frost. Invincible, be careful. An elder looked over and reminded Invincible battle technique. Those below the Eternal God Lord level are just ants. I can kill them easily. Invincible in battle techniques said proudly. The rest of them shook their heads and began to clear some of the sea monsters below. When Wang Xian saw this scene, he waved his arm and kept nearly 4,000 ice wolves into the mother nest. At the same time, the ice drill crocodile flew to his side and he also kept it in. With the support of the strong ones, he didn't interfere. He looked down and kept the demon scroll octopus tentacle that he had just chopped off. No matter what, the demonic octopus tentacle was a level 5 body of an eternal god lord. A small piece of it could be comparable to a celestial level elixir. Furthermore, the level of the elixir wasn't low. The entire tentacle was more than 500 meters long. It could be used to make an iron plate squid tentacle. Clean up the battlefield. The battle in front of them ended very quickly. A voice rang out. Sir, thank you for your help earlier. Otherwise, our Tianbei High City would have suffered heavy losses. An old man walked over and thanked Wang Xian. He waved his hand and didn't mind. The old man smiled and started to clean up the battlefield. Haha, Boss Wang, wasn't my battle technique Invincible heroic just now? At this moment, Invincible battle technique flew over and said proudly. 1 man against 10,000 men. He wasn't afraid of the sea monster army at all. He had already filmed the video. This time, his unrivaled battle technique would be famous throughout the entire natural selection continent. Awesome, awesome. Since it's settled, I'll take my leave first. Don't forget the money you owe me. Wang Xian looked at him speechlessly and said directly. Wait, Boss Wang. Unrivaled battle technique immediately called out to him. Wang Xian looked over in puzzlement. Boss Wang, no matter what, that ice-breaking wolf pack is also my spoils of war. Now that you've taken it away, I don't need too much. Just give me 1,000 of them. Invincible battle technique stared at him with gleaming eyes. Just now, Wang Xian had released nearly 4,000 ice wolves. The roar of the entire pack of wolves caused millions of sea monsters to tremble. Such a domineering scene made Invincible battle technique extremely envious. If he were to ride on the ice drill alligator and have more than 1,000 Northern Expedition wolves behind him, that would be so cool. Get lost. You want to buy them with money. Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian said disdainfully. Hey Boss Wang, don't go too far. This is my territory that is invincible in battle techniques. You are stealing my... Bang. Seeing that Wang Xian didn't give it to him, Invincible in battle technique's expression changed. He threatened Wang Xian in a threatening manner. However, before he could finish his words, Wang Xian kicked him, causing him to fly backward. But following that, his body landed heavily on the ground with a loud bang. What's going on? Invincibly. The people around looked over and were stunned. Their invincible young master was actually beaten up by that young man. Wang Xian, don't go too far. I only want 1,000 of them. Invincible got up with a change in expression as he shouted angrily. Idiot, you're a fool. As Wang Xian said that, he moved his right leg and the 10,000-mile wall beneath him collapsed. He smashed it directly at Invincible battle technique. Dust flew everywhere. Invincible battle technique was directly smashed to the ground. You're a fool in battle technique. Hand over the 15 pills you owe me as soon as possible. Otherwise, don't blame me for getting even with you. Now that I'm here, things won't be so simple anymore. Wang Xian's voice reverberated in the sky. He turned around and flew towards the direction of the Xiantian Academy. Peng peng. Below the city wall, half of battle tactics Invincible's body came out. His face was filled with anger. You stole so many things from me and still asked me for money. I won't return it. What can you do to me? HMH, how can I return the money I owe you with my ability? Invincible battle technique stared at Wang Xian's back and said angrily. However, the last few words were a little soft. He was afraid that Wang Xian would hear them. At the moment, he couldn't afford to offend Wang Xian. Chapter 2283. 2283 Student 2283 was seriously injured. This, our invincible young master. Below the city walls of Beihai City, when some people heard the words, invincible in battle techniques, their faces revealed a stunned expression. Invincible in battle techniques was a heaven's favored son that was widely known in their battle techniques land. However, they didn't expect that this young master of the battle techniques land was actually such a person. He owed money based on his ability. Who is that young man? Some of the experts from the land of battle techniques looked over and muttered. It seemed like Invincible was very familiar with them, but they didn't know each other. Could it be that he was Invincible's friend? It didn't seem like it either. There was also Invincible's ice drill crocodile battle pet. Some people hesitated for a moment and flew towards Invincible battle techniques. With this, my Invincible battle techniques heroic bearing will spread throughout the entire natural selection continent. At this moment, Invincible fighting style was standing on the ruins of the wall of 10,000 miles, editing the words with his AI. Shocking! Invincible fighting style, the young master of the land of fighting style, single-handedly defended against 1,000,000 sea monsters. Shocking! Our Invincible fighting style, the young master of the land of fighting style, rode on the ice drill crocodile, the Tier 5 mount of the eternal God Lord, wreaking havoc on the sea monster battlefield, guarding one city each. Unbelievable! Invincible fighting style, one man and one mount, fighting against 2 Tier 5 eternal God Lord magic scroll octopuses. The titles were edited one by one. At the same time, there were a few videos on the side. These videos were all recorded by him just now. Invincible battle technique felt his blood boiling when he saw them. After editing, he immediately sent them out. Invincible, who was that beast tamer master just now? At this moment, a few experts walked over kindly and asked Invincible battle technique with a smile. This person in front of him was the young master of Invincible in battle tactics. These experts would also treat him warmly. Wang Xian didn't know about Invincible in battle tactics. After he left Tian Beihaicheng, he flew straight to Xiantian Academy. As for Invincible in battle tactics, Wang Xian wasn't afraid that he would go back on his word. If this fellow dared to not return the debt, he could retrieve the ice drill alligator with just a thought. As long as Wang Xian wanted to retrieve his tamed war pet, he could do so easily. Of course, Wang Xian was not prepared to ask Invincible battle technique for the 15 pills. What he wanted was for that fellow to continue working as his coolie. This place was a little far from Tianbei Haicheng. It would take at least 10 hours to fly. The teleportation might be faster, but Wang Xian was not very familiar with the Heaven's Selection continent. He was also not prepared to use the city teleportation formation to teleport. Flying in the sky, he could see the entire Tianzi continent. I've left for about a month and a half this time. It's time for me to return to the academy to see my students. Wang Xian was a little uncomfortable. He was actually a teacher and a group of female students. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have agreed with Senior Xian Tianzi. He shook his head slightly. The last time, he said that he would teach them 3 days at the beginning of each month. In the end, he stood them up this month. I will treat that level 5 demon scroll octopus of the eternal celestial master as their food. Wang Xian thought to himself. Since he had become their teacher, he wouldn't treat them unfairly. Bing 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 bing, are you all right? HMH, this is the strength of class 1. It can't be said that you are weak. You are simply trash. It seems that your teacher is only SOSO. I think you should make way for the training grounds of class 1 as soon as possible. However, at this moment, in the mysterious Sky Academy, a woman stood proudly in front of the cultivation area of class 1. The woman was tall and had a pair of phoenix eyes. Her lips were thin and full of arrogance. Around the woman, there were 4 to 5 young men standing there with smiles on their faces. Behind them, there were 50 to 60 people. You actually attacked so heavily. Kai Qiaoqing, you have gone too far. Situ Yen supported you Bing Bing as she roared furiously. Too far? She's the one courting death. It's already good that I didn't kill her, but a weakling actually dares to provoke me? Kai Qiaoqing stared disdainfully at the heavily injured Yu Bingbing. It's inevitable to get injured during a spar. It's her own fault for not being proficient. Furthermore, you guys occupy the best training grounds in Class 1. We naturally want to see for ourselves what qualifications you guys have to occupy this training grounds. If you don't have the strength, tell your teacher to quickly make him move out of the way. A young man beside them said with a smile. His eyes were filled with mockery. That's right. Although there is still a year before the class competition, I don't think you guys have the qualifications. A few young men beside him echoed. The competition in Xiantian Academy was very intense. The simplest reason was the competition among the classes. There was a distinction between the strong and the weak in the training grounds of the classes. A strong class naturally occupied a good training ground. The place where Wang Xian and the rest were at was the best training ground for this batch. On the other side, Sidu Yan, Huang Jiajia, and the rest had angry looks on their faces. Both of them had some injuries on their bodies. However, compared to Yu Bingbing, their injuries were much lighter. There was a long wound on Yu Bingbing's cheek. Her entire body was almost cut in half and one of her arms was broken. Such a serious injury would require at least half a year for her to recover. If it weren't for them, Yu Bingbing's injury might have been even more serious. However, after the Academy's internal sparring, as long as it wasn't a death duel, the Academy wouldn't interfere. If she were to enter the arena, even if she were to die, the Academy wouldn't interfere. This method was to nurture experts, and it was to allow her to have a better battle with the sea monster today. You were the ones who insulted our teacher first. Yu Bingbing gritted her teeth, and her pale face was filled with anger as she stared at them. Just now, the other party had insulted their teacher and said that they were weak, but their teacher was only SOSO. If they said that their teacher was young, he was probably just a silver spear wax head. How could Yu Bingbing agree when she heard that they insulted her teacher? She attacked angrily, but in the end, she was heavily injured. Am I wrong? HMH, a teacher with no qualifications is occupying this class, and you guys are still so weak. So what if I said it? You guys can defeat me to avenge your previous humiliation. Unfortunately, you guys don't have the strength. Kai Qiaoqing said to Yu Bingbing and the others with a disdainful face, and then she left with her head held high. TSK, a class is full of women. That teacher is really blessed. A young man said in a strange tone before turning around and leaving. Behind them, Situ Yan, Huang Jiajia, and the others were filled with rage. However, they weren't a match for the other party. The other party's group came from 3 different classes, and they were all the top students of this batch. Even though they weren't weak either, they weren't the strongest in the entire batch of formation master freshmen. And among them, there were a few of the strongest freshmen. Not bad. At a building 10 kilometers away from the academy, 2 figures stood on top of the building with a faint smile on their faces. One of the figures was missing an arm. The spot where the arm was severed was pitch black, and flesh and blood were squirming about. It was a frightening sight to behold. Since I can't deal with you, I don't believe that I can't deal with your student. Very soon, I'll make you the laughingstock of the academy. So what if you're a teacher? The young man with a broken arm was Shangguanzhan. At this moment, his expression was a little ferocious. This time, he was ordered by his master to go to the front line as punishment. When he encountered the corrosive venom of the sea monster of the eternal god, his arm disappeared instantly. Now, if he wanted to recover, he would have to resort to the strong or spend a large number of elixirs. Shangguanzhan, who was walking in front of death, was extremely furious. All is that Wang Xian harm he is not reconciled. Chapter 2284. 2284 Student 2284 was severely injured. Although we can't do anything to him, it's enough to damage his reputation. Shi Jingyang, who was standing beside Shangguanzhan, smiled coldly. His eyes were filled with hatred. All of this was done secretly by them. As the senior students of Xiantian Academy and the famous students of the entire Xiantian Academy, it was simply too easy for them to deal with a few students. It was because of that Wang Xian that caused their house of war beasts to close down on the first day of business. It was because of that Wang Xian that they were thrown to the front line of the battlefield. Shangguan Zhihan almost died. It was because of that Wang Xian that they were ridiculed behind their backs. How could they be willing to not take revenge for such an enmity? However, it was a pipe dream for them to take revenge on a teacher of the Xiantian Academy. However, if they could destroy his reputation, they would be able to vent some of their hatred. They were prepared to give Wang Xian the title of the most trashy teacher in the Xiantian Academy. At the thought of this, a ferocious smile appeared on their faces. Senior Shangguan. Brother Shi. At this moment, a few young men and women walked over from the back. They were the few people who had headed to Class 1 just now. Kai Xiaoqing retracted the arrogance on her face and walked over with a smile. The other young men carried a trace of respect. That's right, I'll have to trouble all of you. Shangguan Zhihan looked at the four people who came over and a smile appeared on his face. Senior, it's no trouble. That group of people directly occupied Class 1 and occupied the best cultivation spot. We were originally unhappy about it, but seeing that they were a group of girls, we didn't bother with them. However, it's different when their teacher provoked you, Senior. In the future, if Senior has any instructions, just let us know. The youths immediately said with smiles on their faces. Towards the two seniors before them, they also felt some admiration in their hearts. Directly finding trouble with their teacher wasn't something that just anyone would dare to do. And the reason why they dared to help was because of one thing. In addition, there was the background of the two of them as well as their talent. In the future, these two seniors would almost 90% be able to step into the eternal divine Lord realm. In the future we might have to trouble a few juniors. Of course, we won't be lacking in the benefits. Shi Jingyang said indifferently. It's no trouble at all. It's just a piece of cake. But seniors, we can't keep finding trouble with them. We're afraid that their teacher. The group of young men shook their heads hurriedly. However, one of them said with some worry. It's all right. It's normal for students to spar in the academy. Don't worry, we don't dare to anger a strong person. We're just trying to damage his reputation. He won't dare to do anything to you. Don't tell anyone about this. Otherwise, the consequences. Shi Jingyang said indifferently. In fact, they didn't dare to completely anger Wang Xian. Not only was he a teacher of the academy, but he was also a curse array master. This was also the reason why they chose to take revenge in such a way. They hid behind to prevent Wang Xian from cursing them. We understand this. We also understand the rules of the academy. The group of young men nodded their heads quickly. The next time we attack, we can be a little more severe, the kind that will cause them to be unable to recover in a few years. Shangguan Zhihan said coldly. Yes, Senior Shangguan. Kai Xiaoqing hurriedly smiled and nodded, while the rest of the youths frowned slightly and nodded their heads. They all understood the rules of the academy. As long as they didn't kill them, it would be fine to blow them up until only a drop of blood was left. Cruel. But this is based on the premise that humans are enemies of the sea monsters. Xiantian Academy does not train the weak, do not train people who do not fight. The students of the academy, in the last few years, will have to go to the front line to fight the underground sea army. But 18 hours, just a distance, I have the strength of an eternal god lord rank 5 to fly for 18 hours, this Tianzi continent is really huge. At the entrance of the northern coast of the Xiantian Academy, Wang Xian looked at the academy in front of him and muttered to himself. All the students came over for a while. When he arrived above the group of students who were cultivating, Wang Xian's voice spread throughout the surroundings. Teacher is here. Our teacher is finally here. At this moment, one by one, the girls ran out and heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the girls. Soon, most of the girls were gathered here. Teacher. The girls gathered in front and the girls who had rushed over shouted one by one. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. Where are Tian Shui and Yu Bingbing? He swept his gaze across all the students and saw that 2 of them were missing. He opened his mouth and asked, Huang Jiajia, Sidu Yen, and Xiaolan, why are the 3 of you injured? However, he soon realized that Huang Jiajia, Sidu Yen, and Xiaolan were injured. He frowned and continued to ask, Teacher, Bingbing is injured. Her injuries are a little serious. We are fine. Huang Jiajia said in a low voice. Her injuries are a little serious? What happened? Wang Xian sat down and a chair instantly appeared beneath him. Teacher, it's Kai Qiaoqing, He Ziwen, Zhao Yuanfeng, Niu Feiyuan and the rest. They came to our training grounds and said that we are not worthy to cultivate here. They wanted to spar with us. Jiajia and Sister Yanzi couldn't stand to spar with them. However, they weren't their match and were injured. After that, they insulted us. Xiao Lan was furious and even got injured by them. After that, Kai Qiaoqing said a few words to you, teacher. Bingbing rushed forward and was seriously injured. Teacher, go and take a look at Bingbing. She is seriously injured. A girl said with a slightly angry expression. Huh? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and stood up immediately. Bring me there. Yes, teacher. Huang Jiajia, Sidu Yen, and the other girls immediately brought Wang Xian into a room. When she opened the door, Yu Bingbing was sitting cross-legged and recovering from her injuries. Teacher. When Yu Bingbing saw that the door was opened, she was slightly stunned when she saw Wang Xian. A look of panic appeared on her face. She quickly stood up and shouted. However, due to her strength, fresh blood immediately oozed out from the wounds on her forehead and body. Her face turned pale. She's injured badly. Wang Xian scanned the injuries on her body and his face turned a little black. Teacher, it's my fault. I've embarrassed you. Yu Bingbing lowered her head and said softly. But Wang Xian swept his gaze across and a surge of energy landed on her body. The injuries on her body were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Thank you, teacher. Yu Bingbing raised her head and said gratefully to Wang Xian. Tell me what exactly happened. Wang Xian stood there with a sullen face and asked the few girls. Teacher. Situ Yen opened her mouth and told them everything that happened today. Where's Tianxin? Wang Xian asked expressionlessly. Teacher, Tianxin has a good background and has been cultivating at home. We called out to her at that time, but she said she didn't have the time. Situ Yen replied. Teacher, this is because our strength is inferior to others. We will work hard to cultivate in the future. Huang Jiajia's face was full of anger and fighting spirit as she said this. They would definitely avenge today's humiliation. Chapter 2285. 2285-2285 imparted the curse. Teacher, we have embarrassed you. A group of girls stood in front of Wang Xian and said with their heads lowered. This time, they had indeed embarrassed Wang Xian. In Xiantian Academy, a teacher's reputation was earned by his own students. If his students were weak, he would also be embarrassed as a teacher. If his students were strong, not only would his teacher have face, but he would also receive some rewards. Furthermore, once his student reached the level of the eternal divine Lord, he would also be considered a strong individual. Therefore, many teachers in the Xiantian Academy would choose one of the 30 students to be their disciple, their personal disciple. He provoked Yu Bingbing after only starting school for more than a month, and he even injured her so badly. It seems like he has bad intentions. Wang Xian's eyes turned cold as he looked at the few girls in front of him who had their heads lowered without saying a word. His eyes sparkled. With a wave of his arm, he completely healed the injuries on Huang Jiajia and the rest. Let's go out first. Wang Xian said to them and walked straight out. Teacher. Bingbing's injuries are healed. When the group of girls saw Yu Bingbing following behind them, their faces lit up with joy. I'll be staying here for the next 4 to 5 days. All of you should focus on your training. If there's anything you don't understand, come and look for me directly. For now, let's eat something. Wang Xian glanced at the group of girls and hesitated for a moment. With a wave of his arm, the tentacle of the octopus was suspended in the air. From now on, Situ Yen will be the class monitor and Huang Jiejie will be the deputy class monitor. Each of you can eat 1 caddy of this octopus tentacle every day. It should be enough for a month. There's no need to save. I'll get you something else to eat next month. Leave the distribution of the octopus tentacle to Situ Yen and Huang Jiejie. Who knows how to cook? Find a girl who knows how to cook. As Wang Xian spoke, he swept his gaze across the group of girls. At this moment, all the girls standing in front of him were looking at the octopus tentacle with pale faces. Yes, their faces were pale. They could feel a strong pressure from the octopus tentacle. This pressure made their blood and qi not flow smoothly, and their faces even turned pale. This is the tentacle of the Eternal Lord level sea monster. A girl suddenly mumbled. It's the demonic scroll octopus, the level 5 demonic scroll octopus of the Eternal Lord level. A small piece of its flesh is not weaker than 5 or 6 or even 6 or 7 wisps of divine fire pills. Another girl beside them suddenly exclaimed. That's right, this piece of flesh can make all of you improve a lot. Wang Xian nodded his head lightly. The group of girls' breathing quickened slightly. Their teacher actually took out such a precious treasure and gave it to them. Furthermore, each of them had to eat 1 gene of it every day. There would be more in the future. Each of them had to eat 1 gene of it every day. They couldn't digest it at all. Teacher, I know how to cook, but if I were to cook it, the effects would be lost a lot. A girl raised her hand and said weakly, Teacher, I know how to cook too. If I were to cook it, I would waste half of it. Yu Bingbing also said, It's all right. You guys won't be able to digest it in a day. Let's just waste it. Make it taste better. Wang Xian said nonchalantly. Wang Xian really didn't care about the tentacle of an Eternal Lord level 5 sea monster. Gulp. The rest of them gulped in disbelief. Let's make some food first. Yu Bingbing, Situ Yen, Huang Jiejie, and Xiao Lan, the 4 of you, come and look for me after you finish your meal. I will teach you the battle formation. 5 days later, I will bring all of you to take revenge. Wang Xian said indifferently and walked into a room at the side. Behind him, a group of girls looked at each other in dismay. Teacher, he actually asked us to eat the body of the level 5 sea monster of the Eternal Lord. If we eat like this, we will be able to improve in a year at most. One of the girls mumbled and opened her mouth slightly. We're rich. I didn't expect our teacher to be so powerful. This is the body of the level 5 sea monster of the Eternal Lord. It's such a waste for us to eat it. It's at least 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. Can we finish it in a month? The girls were all stunned. Situ Yen and Huang Jiejie swallowed their saliva and looked excited. They had a good background, but it was only limited to the Eternal God Lord rank experts in their family. Their rank was not high, and their rank was not weak either. However, they did not have the luxury to eat the body of an Eternal God Lord rank 5 sea monster. Their background was considered good, not to mention the other girls. This was simply a huge opportunity. Perhaps only the Eternal Lord rank 8 or 9 experts could provide for their children. In addition, the 2 of them had become class leaders. Moreover, their teacher had just said that he would teach them the battle array and let them take revenge 5 days later. Bing bing, little Yuan, you guys go and cook. Later, make a serving for our teacher. Situ Yen was the first to react. She looked at Yu Bingbing and the girl who raised her hand and said she knew how to cook. Yes, yes. Before the 2 of them could react, they nodded mechanically. We will be rich in the future. Teacher is great. Slowly, some of the girls got used to it and shouted happily. Teacher wants to teach Sister Yan Jia Bingbing and Xiao Lan the new array formation. Wow, I really envy you guys. Is teacher going to take you guys in as his personal disciples? It's very possible. Moreover, teacher said that he will take revenge in 5 days. Could it help them increase their strength quickly? Envious voices sounded. One by one, the girls looked at Yu Bing, Sidu Yen, Huang Jiajia, and Xiaolan. They were indeed extremely envious. Now that their teacher had given them such a precious treasure, wouldn't there be more benefits for them to become personal disciples? However, they were still envious. Sidu Yen, Yu Bingbing, and the other 3 were obviously injured because they had made a move this time. Who asked them not to make a move? They could only blame themselves. The group of girls thought in their hearts. Very quickly, they endured the pressure and walked to the surroundings of the octopus tentacle. Their eyes reflected light as they sized it up. Meanwhile, Yu Bingbing and another girl used a lot of effort to cut off a piece and began to make it. It was too extravagant to cook directly. All the girls who ate the meal were extremely excited. The taste is not bad. In the room, Wang Xian was eating the iron plate octopus whiskers that Yu Bingbing brought over and said with a smile, "In the next 5 days, your strength will increase by at least 1 level. I will teach you some curse formations. In 5 days, you will be humiliated 10 times more than today." Wang Xian stood up slowly and said to the 4 girls, "Increase by 1 level in 5 days? Curse formations?" Sidu Yen and the rest were slightly stunned and opened their mouths slightly. "Don't worry. I said that I can increase it. As for the curse formations, they are the strangest and most evil formations. It is easy to deal with a few weaklings." The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly and his eyes were cold. His student was not so easy to bully. Chapter 2286 2286 They would return the favor tenfold. Curse formation. When the group of girls heard Wang Xian's words, their eyes sparkled. In the path of formation, support, attack, and defense were more common. Support was also divided into tracking, concealment, and so on. As for the path of curse, it was relatively rare among formations. There were very few people who could master the curse formation. In the entire Shantian Academy, there were only a few formation masters who could master the curse technique. Even if there were, they could only master 1 or 2 curse formations at most. Their level might not even be that high. Now that their teacher was actually teaching them curse formations and helping them raise their level in 5 days, how could they not be excited? Beginner-level curse formations at the godly state level are relatively weak and can only be cast at close range. These few days I will teach the few of you. It is enough to deal with a powerhouse at the 3rd or 4th level of the godly state. Wang Xian said to them. Formation masters had the ability to fight against opponents at a higher level. However, this was only for powerful formation masters. Huang Jiajia, Yu Bingbing, and the other girls had just ignited the godly fire. They did not have many formations at their disposal, so it would be difficult for them to fight against opponents at a higher level. Of course, they could not fight against opponents at a higher level. The rest of the students could not fight against opponents at a higher level either. If formation masters wanted to fight against opponents at a higher level, they would need to prepare a few formation compasses. Otherwise, they would be killed once the battle started, let alone those at a higher level. "Thank you, teacher." When the 4 girls heard Wang Xian's words, they immediately bowed down heavily and said with gratitude. Some arrays were not to be taught to outsiders. They were the trump cards of every expert. For example, cursed arrays, even if their level was low, were treasures to an array master. In the next few days, not only do all of you need to level up, you also need to control a few arrays and train hard. Wang Xian said to them. "Yes, teacher." The few of them nodded their heads. In the next few days, Wang Xian stayed in his room to teach the 4 girls. The improvement of formation masters was similar to that of ordinary cultivators. They had to ignite more divine flames and master stronger formations. In order to ignite the divine flames faster and consume a large amount of resources, these resources were like a drop in the bucket for Wang Xian. However, with sufficient resources, they needed to comprehend stronger formations on their own. Only then would they be able to achieve a true breakthrough. This was not difficult for Wang Xian. He had no experience in teaching the students, but he had the celestial emperor of heaven's formation. As a mighty celestial emperor, he could easily raise the level of the 4 little gods within 5 days. While the 4 girls were cultivating with all their might, there were some rumors spreading among the new students of Xiantian Academy. Some freshmen were dissatisfied with the current Class 1. They didn't have the qualifications to occupy such good resources. Especially when the few geniuses of this year went to Class 1 to spar with each other a few days ago and easily defeated all the strong students of Class 1. In addition, there were also rumors that the teachers of Class 1 were just silver spears with wax heads and didn't have any qualifications. At such a young age, without much experience, one could be said to be the most trashy teacher in the entire Xiantian Academy. On the AI, there were also people who posted on the internal forum of Xiantian Academy saying that the teachers in Class 1 were too young to be qualified to be teachers. This also attracted the attention of many people. After all, Wang Xian was known as the youngest teacher in Xiantian Academy. Some even said that he was even younger than the students in the academy. This aroused the curiosity of many people. Upon seeing some people's evaluation of this teacher, some people also joined in the discussion. What kind of experience could such a young teacher have? He was so young and had never been to the front lines of the battlefield. How powerful could he be? The voices caused many people to think that the teacher of Class 1 of the new students was very incompetent. Wang Xian didn't know about the voices from the outside world. The girls of Class 1 were also desperately cultivating. What happened a few days ago had dealt a huge blow to the girls. Now that they had to consume the meat of the level 5 sea monster of the Eternal Lord every day, they didn't dare to waste any time. Now, their cultivation was akin to eating a few pills with 5 or 6 wisps of divine fire every day. Their progress was progressing at a tremendous pace. Some of the stronger students even felt that they could ignite 2 wisps of divine fire this month. For students who didn't have a strong family background, 1 day of training here was equivalent to 1 or 2 months of training in the past. The rule of the level 5 sea monster meat of the Eternal Lord was to consume all of it on the spot and not allow it to be taken away. This also saved the girls from the thought of being thrifty. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. Wang Xian stood in the room and looked at the 4 girls in front of him with satisfaction. Yu Bingbing and Xiao Lan, who were originally 1 wisp of divine fire, had now achieved 2 wisps of divine fire. Huang Jiajia and Sidu Yen had already ignited 3 wisps of divine fire. 3 wisps of divine fire. Among this batch, only 5 students had achieved it. Now that they had achieved a breakthrough and grasped the formation that Wang Xian had imparted to them, it was still a little difficult for them to fight against those of a higher level. However, if the 2 of them worked together, they could fight against the 4 wisps of divine fire. Let's go and take revenge. We will repay the humiliation we suffered 5 days ago tenfold this time. Wang Xian said to them calmly. Yes, teacher. A few girls had a determined look on their faces. They held their arms tightly and their faces were filled with fighting spirit. Hee hee. Wang Xian smiled faintly and walked out. Teacher. When they saw Wang Xian and the rest coming out, a group of girls immediately walked over. Yeah, let's go and take revenge. If you guys want to follow us, follow us. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the group of girls and said nonchalantly, Sister Yen and the rest seem to have made a breakthrough. I think so. The aura on their bodies is so strong. Bing Bing and Xiao Lan have also made a breakthrough and ignited 2 wisps of divine fire. They have all made a breakthrough. When the group of girls saw Situ Yen, Huang Jiajia, and the rest who were at the back, they revealed a look of shock on their faces. After 5 days of breakthrough, They were considered the best among the new students. Situ Yen and Huang Jiajia could even be ranked in the top 10. Let's go, let's follow them. Humph, 5 days ago, they came to bully us. Today we will cripple them. That's right, give them a good beating. Let them dare to insult us and our teacher. Wang Xian led the 4 girls straight outside. The group of girls followed him and clenched their fists in an aggressive manner. Which class are those people from? Lead the way. Wang Xian said to Situ Yen and the rest. Yes, teacher. They are from class 2, class 4, and 2 classes 7. Situ Yen replied and pointed to the front. Wang Xian nodded and walked forward expressionlessly. Wow, there are so many juniors. All of them are pretty good-looking. They should be the students of class 1 of this batch of freshmen. All of them are girls. That young man should be their teacher, the youngest teacher in our academy. It's him? The teacher who was said to be the worst in Xiantian Academy? When selecting the students, he chose all the pretty girls. Silver Spear Waxhead? When Wang Xian and the rest were walking towards class 2, some people on the way looked over curiously and started to discuss softly. His words made Wang Xian raise his eyebrows slightly. Chapter 2287. 2287 The Power of 2287's Curse. My reputation is so bad in the school. Silver Spear Waxhead? Wang Xian swept his gaze across the student who was talking about him. His eyes sparkled. He had only stayed in the academy for a few days. Other than the student, Dean Jean, he didn't know anyone else in the academy. But now, someone was deliberately trying to discredit him. That group of students who came to provoke him? It was really possible. After all, Wang Xian looked relatively young. Those dignified middle-aged and elderly teachers didn't dare to say anything, but it didn't mean that they didn't dare to say anything to him. TSK, such a young teacher and the entire class are female students. This is simply too blissful. Don't talk so much. That teacher took a glance at us. So what if he did? It wasn't me who said it. Moreover, I didn't say anything wrong. I'm really envious. A few hundred meters away, an ordinary-looking young man with a crafty smile on his face spoke to the burly young man beside him indifferently. Some of the girls heard their conversation and revealed furious expressions. They looked over with furious faces. Haven't you seen a handsome guy before? When the young man saw the group of girls looking at him, he lifted his head and teased them with a smile. Bang, bang, bang. However, just as he finished his sentence, the sound of an explosion was heard from his body. His limbs and body directly exploded, and a large amount of blood shot out in all directions. The young man's face turned extremely pale in an instant. His entire body was severely injured and his eyes were a little unfocused. You're courting death. Wang Xian said indifferently without even looking at him. A fellow with 5 wisps of divine fire was actually talking about the Eternal Lord recklessly. Did he think that he wouldn't dare to do anything to him in the academy? How high? The face of the burly young man beside him changed drastically. He quickly took out an elixir and placed it in his mouth to check his body. Not good. All of the blood essence and energy in my body have exploded and dissipated. I'm no different from a cripple. The burly young man sensed the young man's injuries, and his face changed drastically. The energy in his body had exploded, and his injuries were very serious. All of his blood essence and energy had been destroyed. It was fine if he wanted to recondense them, but the amount of energy required to do so was very, very great. In fact, without a dozen or so 5-wisp divine fire medicinal pills, and without several decades of nurturing, it would be very difficult for him to recover. Of course, if the Eternal God Lord helped, it would be different. So ruthless. The burly youth's heart trembled. But I'm crippled. It's him. I want to tell teacher. The youth's face revealed a panicked expression, and his voice carried a hint of crying as he spoke. I'll bring you to teacher. The burly youth immediately carried the youth and left, sighing slightly in his heart. Anyone who could become a teacher was an eternal God Lord expert. Even if that teacher looked very young, he was not someone who could be easily provoked. Although that teacher had violated the school rules, he was the one who had provoked him first. Moreover, if the teacher did not make the decision for him, he would only have himself to blame. As a result of this matter, the one who had suffered the most damage was still him. Hiss, attacking directly, how overbearing. That young man is also an idiot, provoking an expert so arrogantly. When the surrounding people saw this, their pupils constricted slightly, and a trace of fear flashed across their eyes. Serves him right. When the group of girls saw this scene, they lightly harumphed. Teacher, in front of us is Class 2. It was Kai Xiaoqing from Class 2 who heavily injured Bing Bing. Jia Jia was also easily defeated by her. Kai Xiaoqing has already ignited 3 wisps of divine fire. She is one of the stronger ones among this batch of freshmen. At this moment, City Yen said to Wang Xian, "A girl?" Wang Xian asked indifferently. "Yes, a girl." City Yen nodded her head. "Make your move and place all the curses on her." Wang Xian said directly. "It's teacher." Situ Yen was shocked and nodded immediately. He could feel that his teacher was getting a little angry. From the discussion of the young man just now, it was obvious that someone was saying bad things about his teacher behind his back. And the people who said bad things were none other than those people from 5 days ago. The one who said bad things about his teacher was also Kai Xiaoqing. Everyone walked towards the seat of Class 2. The cultivation grounds of Class 2 were similar to Class 1, but the spiritual energy within was slightly less than that of Class 1. The door to the cultivation room was tightly shut. Situ Yen took 2 steps forward and with a wave of her arm, a surge of energy crashed heavily onto the door. The previous time they had been provoked, the other party had done the same thing. Ping ping ping. Situ Yan's successive surges of spiritual energy crashed onto the door, producing heavy sounds. Who dares to disturb our cultivation again? The door opened and a young man shouted with a cold face. Class 1? What are you guys doing here? Are you asking for a beating? When the young man saw Situ Yen and the rest, he raised his eyebrows and said coldly. When he saw Wang Xian, he was slightly taken aback. However, he quickly turned his gaze away and pretended that he didn't see him. The teacher would not interfere in a spar between students. Ichimich, call Kai Xiaoqing over. We will return the humiliation from 5 days ago tenfold today. Situ Yen said to the young man with a cold expression. With just you guys? TSK, you even called teacher over. Are you worried that you will be tortured by us? The young man looked at Situ Yen and said with disdain. To think that you guys still dare to come knocking on our door. How interesting. It seems that we didn't humiliate you guys enough last time. Initially, I was prepared to teach you guys a lesson in 2 months. I didn't expect that you guys would actually dare to come knocking on our door. As soon as the young man finished his sentence, a girl with a proud face led a group of people out from the back. She was dressed in black and had a faint smile on her face. Her phoenix-shaped eyes were staring at Situ Yen and the rest with disdain. Teacher Wang is here too. You won't interfere in the matters of our students, right? She looked at Wang Xian and asked with a smile. Naturally, I won't interfere in the matters of your students. The weak will be beaten up. Wang Xian said plainly. Well said. Kai Xiaoqing nodded with a smile. She looked at Situ Yen and the rest and said, It seems like you guys didn't learn your lesson last time and insisted on coming over to humiliate yourselves. Kai Xiaoqing, don't be arrogant. Today, we will make you pay the price. Huang Jiajia also said with a cold expression. With just you guys, wasn't it you guys that Sister Qing beat up last time? This time, you guys actually dared to come and provoke us. Perhaps it's because teacher is back. Even if teacher is here, we won't show any mercy. Sister Qing, teach them a harsh lesson. Let them obediently step aside when they see us in the future. Behind Kai Xiaoqing, a group of young men and women spoke with disdain. Last time, we only taught you a small lesson. This time, if you dare to come and provoke us, don't blame me for making you lose face in the entire courtyard. Kai Xiaoqing said to Situ Yan and the others with a proud face. Then let's try. Situ Yan's eyes were cold as she took a few steps forward. Chapter 2288. 2,288 students will be dealt with by the students. Those who interfere will die. 1. At the entrance of Xiantian Academy's new student class 2, a group of people were in a tense confrontation. Wang Xian stood there and didn't say anything about the students' matters. It was perfectly normal for students to spar with each other. Once they entered the arena, they could even fight to the death. Yu Bingbing was seriously injured. If he didn't treat her and if he didn't have sufficient resources, it would take a long time for her to recover. Wang Xian felt that the injuries on her body were very serious. He wouldn't say that he would help her take revenge. However, his students weren't easy to bully, especially when the other party insulted him and injured Yu Bingbing in anger. Then, he would let his students regain their dignity and return the favor tenfold. Move aside. I want them to crawl out of here today. Kai Xiaoqing stared at Situ Yan with disdain and said to the students behind her. Sister Qing, get them out of here. You don't know your place. 5 days ago, I could easily torture you. Today, you still dare to come to us arrogantly and humiliate yourselves. The girls behind her shouted loudly. Humph. Kai Xiaoqing slightly raised her head and stared at Situ Yan. You really think I'm afraid of you? This time, you have to pay the price for humiliating us last time. Situ Yan took a step forward, and the aura on her body instantly burst out. Huh. 3 wisps of divine fire. She actually ignited 3 wisps of divine fire. The burst of aura caused the faces of the students of class 2 opposite to them to reveal a stunned expression. They let out a series of exclamations, and their faces were filled with solemnity. I didn't expect you to actually break through. Kai Xiaoqing was also slightly stunned, and then she narrowed her eyes and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. You dare to provoke me when you've just broken through? You're really stupid. If I were to say that it was your class's Tianxue who came over, I might be a little more serious. Just you, I wouldn't even put you in my eyes. Her face was full of arrogance. She had a strong background, and her strength was not something that ordinary students could compare to. Won't you know after giving it a try? Situ Yan's body shook, and an aura directly charged toward Kai Xiaoqing. I'll let you see the gap between us. Kai Xiaoqing smiled coldly, and with a wave of her arm, a formation compass appeared in her hand. Numerous golden sharp swords instantly attacked Situ Yan. At the same time, her palm moved slightly, and she began to set up an attack formation. Situ Yan also took out a formation compass, and the formation on the compass was instantly activated, and a stream of water wrapped around her. What the two of them released were 3 wisps of divine fire-level formations. When Kai Xiaoqing released the formation, Situ Yan also began to set up the formation. Streams of pitch-black energy gathered in front of her. The energy squirmed and slowly turned blood red. It looked a little strange. What kind of formation is that? The darkness attribute is so strange? It should be their teacher who taught her. That teacher Wang must have taught her something since he followed her here. Humph, so what if he taught her? Our sister Qing has long ignited 3 wisps of divine fire. She isn't someone who has just broken through. The girls of class 2 looked at Situ Yan and discussed with cold faces. Peng peng peng. At this moment, numerous sharp swords landed in front of Situ Yan and were blocked by the water curtain formation. Formation, Blood Curse. Formation, Earth Bind. In less than 10 seconds, 2 voices sounded almost at the same time. A ball of darkness that covered a radius of 10 kilometers was located in the center of the darkness. A strange blood-red object was attacking Kai Xiaoqing. Below Situ Yan, the ground seemed to come alive. It reached out and grabbed at her. Each palm was 5 to 6 meters in size. This was not only binding, it also possessed terrifying offensive power. Wang 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 wang. Situ Yen waved her blood curse, and when she saw the earth binding that was attacking her, her figure shook. Array formations floated around her, and with a move of his body, he flew into the sky to avoid the earth binding's attack. An array formation master needed more than 10 or 20 seconds to release an array formation of the same level. However, if Biyu's level was lower than his, the speed would be much faster. For example, Situ Yanbu's divine fire level array formation could be completed in 1 second. If she practiced regularly, she could also release a low-level array formation in an instant. Streams of energy and the array formation landed under the earth binding, and Situ Yen avoided the attack. She stood above the entrance and continued to condense the array. Holy light robe. Do you think you're the only one who has mastered the other arrays? At the same time, Kai Qiaoqing was also staring at the blood curse array with a cold face. She waved her arm, and her body was instantly enveloped by a beam of light, and she flew into the sky. The continuous attacks were aimed at the blood-red array in the middle of the blood curse array. BZZZ BZZ. What? Suddenly, when the surrounding darkness touched the holy light robe quickly melted. Especially the part of the arm, it directly melted. Then, a scene that made her feel terrified appeared. The power of darkness directly surged into her body through her arm. This made her face full of shock, and a trace of fear appeared in her eyes. What kind of formation is this? How can it be so strange? Her expression changed drastically as she cried out in alarm. Buzz buzz buzz. The darkness that covered a radius of 1,000 meters surged towards her body at a terrifying speed. This included the blood ball in the middle. Formation, heavenly virus. Formation, 3 plagues. At this moment, 2 more balls of darkness condensed together, carrying a strange bloody aura as they attacked Kai Qiaoqing. Get lost. Kai Qiaoqing's face was somewhat malevolent as she let out a furious roar, and spiritual energy burst out from her body. Ah! However, all of a sudden, she sensed that the spiritual energy in her body had gone out of control, and traces of blood were flowing out from her body. A painful voice came out from her mouth. The heavenly virus and the 3 calamities entered her body directly. What kind of array formation is this? What kind of array formation is this? A shrill voice sounded from her mouth, and a large amount of blood gushed out from her body. The heavenly plague virus began to take effect, and her limbs began to twitch and her bones began to bend. Soon, the 3 calamities descended upon her, and flames suddenly burst forth from her body. It was as if everything was natural, causing her body to turn pitch black in an instant. Ah! Her flesh and blood began to swell, and her bones began to bend. It was an incomparably savage sight. Her shrill voice reverberated throughout the entire area. If not for the formation blocking her way, her voice would have echoed for more than 100 kilometers. She rolled on the ground continuously, looking incomparably miserable. What kind of formation is this? How can it be so bizarre? How can it be so bizarre? Sister Qing, Tiyen, you are too cruel. What on earth have you done? Inform the teacher, will inform the teacher. At this moment, the entire second class panicked. This scene was simply too terrifying. Kai Qiaoqing seemed to have been sent to hell, incomparably terrifying. Chapter 2289. 2289 student matters are settled by the students. Those who interfere will die. 2. What kind of formation is this? How can it be so terrifying, so strange? Not only everyone in Class 2, but even Huang Jiajia, Yu Bingbing, and the other female students were shocked and fearful when they saw this strange attack. Even Situ Yen, who was standing at the entrance, turned pale when she saw Kai Qiaoqing's miserable state. This attack was too bizarre and terrifying. At this moment, Kai Qiaoqing didn't look like a human at all. Is this the power of the curse? Situ Yen muttered. She had only come into contact with the curse 5 days ago. The legendary curse was bizarre, terrifying, and evil. Now, it seemed that this was indeed the case. However, the curse was also a power that everyone yearned for. Gulp, is this the formation that teacher imparted to Sister Yen and the others? It's so strange and powerful. Some of the girls couldn't help but gulp. Not daring to look at Kai Qiaoqing, they muttered under their breath. This formation was indeed very powerful and strange. A hint of envy appeared in their eyes. It was a pity that the last time someone came to bully them, only 4 of them stepped forward. Even though they knew that they were no match for the teacher, they still came forward to defend the teacher. This was what they deserved. The teacher was probably very clear in his heart. Save me, save me. At this moment, Kai Qiaoqing, who was lying on the ground and screaming nonstop, let out a terrified voice. At this moment, she felt as if she was about to face death. She didn't want to die yet. In the surroundings, a group of students from Class 2 surrounded Kai Qiaoqing with anxious faces. However, they didn't dare to get close to her. Their faces were pale. What did you do? Killing is forbidden in the academy. If you kill her, you will have to pay with your life. A young man mustered up his courage and said to Situ Yen, It's all right, I won't die. Situ Yen was also panicking at this moment. She looked at Wang Xian and Wang Xian replied indifferently, Let's go. Wang Xian said to Situ Yen before turning around and walking out. It's teacher. Situ Yen flew down and immediately followed behind Wang Xian. The group of girls also left in a hurry. When they saw that Wang Xian and the rest had left, everyone in Class 2 looked at each other in dismay. Kai Qiaoqing was still screaming beside them. One by one, the students tried to contact their teacher, but there was no response. I'm going to kill all of you. I'm going to kill all of you. At this moment, Kai Qiaoqing's face was filled with malevolence as she trembled. She endured the pain in her body and opened her AI. She was the strongest student in Class 2, and she had the teacher's AI. After notifying the teacher, no one replied. The pain in her body did not stop. His bent arm was covered in blood as he tried to contact his mother. Wang, baby girl, I miss your mother. Daughter, what's going on? What happened? What happened? A picture of a woman appeared in the AI. The woman was somewhat strong and exuded a valiant aura. When she saw the picture of her daughter, she was completely stunned. Her face was filled with a violent killing intent. She could see the tables and chairs around her flying backward. Mommy, come and save me, come and save me, I'm in so much pain, so much pain. At this moment, Kai Qiaoqing's face was covered in blood. Her entire face was completely unrecognizable, and she looked like a devil. Mommy, she said to her mother with a face full of pain. My good daughter, I'll come and find you immediately. Don't be afraid, Mommy will come right away. Seeing her daughter's miserable state, the woman's face was full of heartache as she said this, and her eyes were filled with malice. Mommy, help me take revenge. Kill them, kill them. Kai Qiaoqing's face was filled with viciousness as she roared. The woman opposite her flew straight towards her. The pain was tormenting her body. The curse depended on the strength of the caster and the person who was cursed. The pain on Kai Qiaoqing's body would last for at least a few more hours. This was the horror of the curse. While Kai Qiaoqing was in pain, Wang Xian led a group of girls to the front of Class 4. The teachers of Class 4 were not here either. When He Ziwen saw Situ Yen, Huang Jiajia, and the rest coming to seek revenge, he was slightly stunned when he saw Wang Xian. His eyes were filled with vigilance. Teacher Wang, a few days ago, we went to spar with them. They were the ones who lost. We didn't do anything. He Ziwen said to Wang Xian. It's fine even if they are severely injured in a spar between students. It's just that their skills are inferior to others. You don't have to worry. My students aren't convinced and want to get back at them. I'm only here to take a look. I won't make a move. The academy has its own rules. Furthermore, I don't have the time to play with you guys. Wang Xian said faintly to him. If that's the case, I might have to offend you. I'm afraid you'll have to carry them away later. He Ziwen raised his head with some confidence. He Ziwen, don't be arrogant. At that time, the people from your 3 classes came to provoke and humiliate us. Don't make yourself sound too high and mighty. Huang Jiajia immediately walked forward and stared at him with a cold face. We, the students of the Shintian Academy, are fighting for resources. Naturally, we are not satisfied with your class occupying the best training grounds. Even if it was our 3 classes, we didn't bully you together. With your strength, you are not qualified to make us fight together. He Ziwen stared at Huang Jiajia and released his pride. He knew the rules of the academy. Even the teachers were not allowed to violate them. Therefore, even if Wang Xian was at the side, his aura was not weaker than anyone else. A bunch of girls, give us your class one. If that's the case, we won't challenge you. That's right, a bunch of girls. Give us that place, ha. Behind He Ziwen, the young men laughed out loud. Let's see who's the real deal then. You Bing Bing, have just ignited 2 wisps of divine fire to challenge your class 4. Xiaolan, get out here, I want to challenge you. Yu Bingbing and Xiaolan saw how arrogant and insulting they were, so they stood out with furious faces and shouted at those who were more aggressive. Huang Jiajia took a few steps forward and locked her gaze on He Ziwen. Since you're looking for a fight, don't blame us for not being polite. I'll beat you until you call me daddy, ha. The few of them immediately stepped forward and stared at them coldly. They didn't put Huang Jiajia and the others in their eyes at all. Sister Jiajia, Bing Bing, teach them a lesson. If you are arrogant now, you will cry later. The group of girls stared at them angrily. Fight! Huang Jiajia and the others also had cold expressions on their faces. The 3 of them immediately dispersed and stared at their opponents coldly. The entire Shintian Academy was covered by a powerful formation. Their battle wouldn't be able to destroy any of the buildings here. Foolish. 5 days ago, we were able to easily crush you. Today, it's the same. He Ziwen waved his arm and the formation compass appeared in his hand. Chapter 2290. 2292,290 students will be dealt with by the students. Those who interfere will die. 3. Wang. Waves of energy rose. Huang Jiajia's 3 wisps of divine fire's strength completely erupted. On the side, 2 wisps of divine fires Yu Bingbing and Xiaolan also instantly erupted. Their 2 opponents were also 2 wisps of divine fire. Let them know how powerful our class 4 is. Brother Wen, you can do it. Let this group of girls know how powerful we are, ha. The people from class 4 were shouting excitedly from behind. They knew the strength of class 1. Although Huang Jiajia had broken through, they did not think that He Ziwen would lose to a girl who had just broken through. The battle soon began. The result was without any suspense. Huang Jiajia and the others now had the strange curse technique. They could not fight against people of the same level at all. What is this? What is this? I admit defeat, I admit defeat. Soon, screams came from He Ziwen and the other 2. In just a few minutes, their faces were extremely pale, and their faces were ferocious as they begged for mercy. Strange, miserable, and fresh blood had completely soaked their clothes. Everyone in class 4 was stunned, and they looked at this scene with fear. At this moment, He Ziwen was no less miserable than Kai Qiaoqing. He lay on the ground and screamed in pain. He stared at his own body in panic. No, I don't want to die. Teacher, save me, save me. He raised his bloody head and begged Wang Xian for help. Don't worry, none of you will die. As for the treatment, it's up to you guys. Wang Xian smiled faintly. Treating them? What a joke. Back then, Yu Bingbing was seriously injured. Yet, all of you didn't care about her at all. Let's go to class 7. Wang Xian said faintly. He turned around and walked towards class 7. HM serves you right. You dare to bully us. Now, you know what will happen to you. Now, the group of girls didn't feel sorry for them at all. They were so arrogant just now. Why didn't they continue to be so arrogant now? The group of girls turned around and left in disdain, leaving behind everyone in class 4 who had terrified expressions. What kind of formation did they use? How could it be so strange and terrifying? One by one, the young men and women looked at the 3 people who were wailing on the ground with pale faces and hurriedly notified the teacher. Their expressions were as if they were about to die. The teacher of class 4 quickly received news of the students. He wasn't far from here and immediately flew over. When he saw the miserable state of the 3 most outstanding students in his class, his expression changed slightly. What a cruel and bloody method. As he examined their bodies, the old man's expression turned gloomy. The students of class 7 are Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyuan. Although they didn't make a move that day, they were so arrogant that they made our class attack together. Both of them possessed the strength of 3 wisps of divine fire. It seems that both of them have some relationship with their teacher. That's why they are able to be in the same class. When they arrived at the entrance of class 7, City Yen said to Wang Xian. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly and shook his head nonchalantly. With your and Huang Jiajia's strength, it's enough. He said indifferently. All right. City Yen nodded. With a wave of her arm, a surge of energy landed on the door. In the room, a middle-aged man was sitting in front of a table, explaining his knowledge to the students. Hearing the knocking on the door, he frowned slightly. Bang, bang, bang. 5 days ago, Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyuan humiliated Class 1. Today, Class 1 is here to teach us a lesson. At this moment, Situ Yan's voice entered the room. And Class 1, are these girls courting death? How dare they come here to provoke us? The students of Class 7 were listening to their teacher teach them the array formation. When they heard the voices outside, an impatient look appeared on their faces. Are you courting death? Teacher Niu, I want them to scram immediately. Zhao Yuanfeng's face was slightly embarrassed. He immediately stood up and said to the middle-aged teacher in front of him, Sit down. The middle-aged teacher said to him, but there wasn't the slightest fluctuation on his face. During the lesson, immediately leave the range of Class 7. He lightly shouted, and a wave of pressure was released towards the outside. Outside the door, City Yen and the rest heard this voice and felt the pressure from it. Their expressions changed slightly. Huh? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. The aura from his body was so powerful that it could withstand this pressure. He waved his arm. Following that, the door opened with a loud bang. Seeing Wang Xian opening the door, the girls were slightly stunned. Their faces revealed astonishment. In Class 7, Teacher Niu and all the students were also slightly shocked. All the students stood up in an instant. Their faces were filled with anger. Sorry to disturb you. 5 days ago, our students were bullied by you. This time, we are here to spar. Wang Xian's voice traveled over slowly. It's the teacher from Class 1. He actually came personally. All the students from Class 7 were slightly shocked. Teacher Wang, I'm teaching. Teacher Niu's face darkened when he saw Wang Xian pushing the door open. He said coldly with some displeasure. That's why I said I'm sorry to disturb you. I'm also very busy. However, 5 days ago, the students were bullied by the students from 3 classes. I happen to have the time today to bring them here for a spar. Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man and said nonchalantly. Although he said that he was disturbing them, it didn't seem like he was disturbing them at all. Spar. When Teacher Niu saw Wang Xian's attitude, he stood up with a cold expression. He looked at the students behind Wang Xian and the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. Teacher Wang, your punches and kicks are blind. It wouldn't be good if you hurt your students. He said coldly. It's fine. Anyway, there were students who were seriously injured 5 days ago. It would be their incompetence if they were seriously injured again. Wang Xian shook his head nonchalantly. Alright. Since we are going to spar, you guys can spar with the students of Class 1. Teacher Niu laughed coldly and looked at Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyun. Go and guide Teacher Wang's students. Yes, teacher. Don't worry, we will help Teacher Wang educate them. Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyun felt their teacher's anger and smiled. They turned around and looked at Situ Yen, Huang Zhejia, and the others with disdain in their eyes. Last time, we didn't make a move. Do you feel uncomfortable because we didn't torture you? Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyun walked forward with smiles on their faces as they asked with a cold smile. If you can beat us now, you can think so too. Huang Zhejia and Situ Yen walked forward with cold eyes. Punches and kicks have no eyes. Teacher Wang is very clear about the rules of the academy, right? Teacher Niu looked at Wang Xian and said again. You've already said it once. There's no need to repeat it again. Wang Xian looked at him and replied. Hee, you're a new teacher. As a senior, I naturally have to remind you a few more words. Elder Enau said with a smile. He was extremely displeased with Wang Xian's direct breach of the door. This was completely ignoring him and disrespecting him. Since that was the case, there was no need to stand on ceremony. He repeated it repeatedly to remind his students to hit harder. Chapter 2291. 2291 students settle student affairs. Those who interfere will die. 4. Let them crawl out today. In Class 7, Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyun looked at each other and said indifferently. Their faces were full of confidence. Last time, our brother Feng and brother Yuan didn't even make a move. Today, they insist on asking for a beating. They really don't know death. HMH, they dare to disturb our teacher's class and disturb us. Brother Feng and brother Yuan, teach them a lesson. The students of Class 7 also noticed their teacher's dissatisfaction and shouted loudly. Today, we will definitely repay the humiliation of that day tenfold. Huang Zhejia and Situ Yan's expressions were incomparably cold. They slowly walked forward and locked their gazes on them. Boom. Their auras exploded, causing the two people opposite to them to be slightly stunned. You guys actually broke through. No wonder you dare to come and find trouble with us. Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyun slightly narrowed their eyes and their expressions were filled with coldness. However, you guys already dare to come and find trouble with us after just breaking through. Today, I'll let you guys see how powerful we are. The two of them shouted with cold faces, and their auras also erupted. Boom. The battle erupted. Situ Yen versus Zhao Yuanfeng. Huang Zhejia versus Niu Feiyun. While the two of them were fighting, a woman stood in front of Kai Xiaoqing who was lying on the ground. Daughter, who did this? Who did this? The woman looked at her daughter's miserable state, and her eyes shone with a crazy killing intent. A terrifying aura erupted in the surroundings. The students in the surroundings felt this aura, and their faces were filled with fear. This was Kai Xiaoqing's mother, an eternal God Lord level powerhouse. And her strength was not an ordinary eternal God Lord. As the woman spoke, she immediately transferred the energy into her daughter's body. At the same time, she took out medicinal pills and placed them inside. So ruthless. Feeling her daughter's body, the woman's expression became even more sinister. Daughter, who did it? The woman's expression was incomparably cold as she asked once again. Mother, it's someone from Class 1, it's Class 1 Situ Yen. Kai Xiaoqing saw her mother coming over and couldn't help but shed tears as she spoke with a ferocious expression. Auntie, the teacher from Class 1 brought a class of students over just now. It was Situ Yen from Class 1 who heavily injured her. They're too cruel. A girl beside her also spoke to the woman. The woman's breathing was a little heavy and her eyes were filled with a cold glint. "Let's go, I'll bring you to get an explanation." The woman's body was filled with a dense, murderous aura. She supported her daughter as they walked out. The students of Class 2 hesitated for a moment before hurriedly following behind. What kind of array formation is this? How can it be so strange? No, it's a curse array formation. It's a curse array formation. At Class 7, the battle had already begun for a minute. Teacher Niu stared at Huang Zhejia and Sidu Yen with a face full of astonishment. At this moment, their surroundings were shrouded in darkness. A strange array formation was attacking Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyuan. Both of them were not weak, but when the strange array formation landed on their bodies, their expressions changed drastically. Crack, crack, crack. Blood oozed out of their bodies, their bones began to bend, and their faces were extremely ferocious. What kind of array formation is this? Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyuan's expressions also changed drastically. The intense pain caused their faces to twist. Wang wang wang. At this moment, the curses from the two of them fell toward them once again. When the curse array fell into their bodies, the two of them directly fell to the ground. Painful screams came out of the mouths of the two of them. All the surrounding students looked at this scene in shock. Stop! Teacher Niu, who was originally prepared to watch his students teach their opponents a good lesson, had a drastic change in expression at this moment. He immediately shouted loudly, "Teacher, please don't interfere in the sparring between students." Wang Xian heard his voice and said indifferently, "Admit defeat, admit defeat." Teacher Niu moved his body and was about to fly towards Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyuan. What a joke! If the others can admit defeat on behalf of others, then there's no need for us to spar in the academy. Wang Xian did not give him any face. With a wave of his arm, palm after palm appeared on the ground and grabbed onto Teacher Niu's legs. When Teacher Niu saw that Wang Xian was actually attacking him, his expression changed drastically. He stared at Wang Xian coldly. "Don't you understand the rules? Senior?" Wang Xian smiled at him with a face full of mockery. Just now, he was still talking about the rules. He even said that he was a senior and needed to remind him a little more. Now, Teacher Niu's expression changed drastically. All the students around were shocked as they watched the two teachers' game. However, all the students in Class 7 looked extremely embarrassed. Even the teachers were embarrassed when they were attacked. "We admit defeat. We admit defeat." At this moment, Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyuan, who were lying on the ground with pained expressions on their faces, shouted in pain. "Weren't you arrogant just now and told us to crawl away? Why are you admitting defeat now?" Situ Yen, Huang Zhejia, and Niu Feiyuan looked at them with mockery on their faces. Teacher, save us." However, at this moment, the two of them did not hear what they were saying at all. Their faces were filled with pain and fear as they begged Teacher Niu for help. This strange formation made them completely afraid. When Teacher Niu heard their cries for help, his expression changed again. He walked over with a gloomy face. He took out some pills and injected a large amount of energy into their bodies. As expected of the curse formation. It's so sinister and strange. Sensing the injuries on their bodies, Teacher Niu raised his head and stared at Wang Xian as he said coldly, "With their injuries, if they wanted to recover on their own, it would take them more than 10 years or even dozens of years to do so. In fact, if they didn't have any medicinal pills, there might be side effects." This was the power of the curse formation. The students are being bullied. Teach them some battle techniques. Wang Xian looked at him and said calmly, "Let's go." He turned around and said to the students. The girls nodded immediately and smiled. "Who hurt my daughter? Show yourself." At this moment, an extremely cold voice was heard. It was accompanied by a terrifying pressure. Everyone was slightly shocked. Under this terrifying pressure, The students' bodies froze and their faces turned extremely pale. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He waved his arm to block this pressure. But at this moment, a woman supported a woman and landed in front of them. The woman was naturally Kai Qiaoqing. Although she had undergone treatment, she could still see the miserable state of her body. Her entire face was incomparably pale, and her eyes were filled with icy rage. Behind her, a group of students from class 2 ran over. Seeing this scene, Teacher Niu frowned slightly. It's her. It's her who injured me. It's her. Kai Qiaoqing's voice suddenly sounded. With a savage expression, she pointed at Situ Yen and screamed. Chapter 2292. 2292 killed everyone in a domineering manner. Kai Qiaoqing pointed her finger at Situ Yen. Her scream was a little ear-piercing. Situ Yan's face changed when she was pointed at. She looked even paler. She looked at her teacher in fear. You are the one who hurt my daughter. You are so vicious at such a young age. Before everyone could speak, the woman stared at Situ Yen and questioned her coldly. Situ Yen opened her mouth. Wang Xian waved his hand and asked her not to speak. Who are you? He narrowed his eyes slightly and stared at the woman as he asked indifferently. I am Kai Qiaoqing's mother. My daughter was tortured so miserably. I want to ask, are all of you so ruthless? The woman looked at Wang Xian and asked with a cold expression. Mother, he is the teacher of class 1. Kai Qiaoqing whispered to her mother at the side. The teacher of the academy? The teacher of the academy led his students here to bully other students. How can he be so cruel? The woman's face turned even colder when she heard her daughter's words. She stared at Wang Xian and questioned him. Her valiant aura was fully displayed. Is she a teacher from the Xiantian Academy? Wang Xian ignored the woman's gaze and turned his head to look at Teacher Niu. No. Teacher Niu glanced at Wang Xian and replied indifferently. Upon seeing this scene, he was actually feeling better. Your students' methods are indeed a little cruel. In the end, he couldn't help but comment indifferently. This curse technique was indeed extremely terrifying, cruel, and bloody. 5 days ago when your students came to humiliate my students, it was fine. Now that I've defeated you, it's not allowed? Wang Xian spoke to Elder Niu with some disdain as he looked at the woman slowly. If you're not a teacher of the academy, how dare you be so arrogant here? Do you understand the rules of the academy? Students are allowed to settle their own matters. Even teachers are not allowed to interfere, let alone your parents? He said coldly to the woman. When the woman heard Wang Xian's words, her face was filled with anger. A terrifying aura erupted from her body. Even if we can't interfere, your students have gone too far. You must give my daughter an explanation for this matter. She stared at Wang Xian coldly. How could she be willing to give up when her daughter was in such a miserable state? She must give her an explanation. Why didn't you say anything when your daughter was humiliating others? Wang Xian stared at the woman and said coldly. I was merely sparring with them, but you guys. Kai Qiaoqing said angrily when she heard Wang Xian's words. I'll settle my students' matter. Since someone has interfered, I'll die. A hint of brutality flashed across Wang Xian's eyes when he saw their actions. Buzz. He waved his arm and the 5 elements millstone appeared in his hand instantly. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The next moment, the entire world underwent a terrifying transformation. The formations set up by the surrounding academies emitted cracking sounds. The entire space underwent a terrifying transformation in an instant. A black hole. A terrifying black hole surrounded the surroundings. At this moment, the divine dragon on the 5 elements millstone let out a roar and the formation set up on it was activated immediately. A chain that looked like a water snake attacked the woman directly. What? The sudden change caused everyone's expression to change drastically. Teacher Nyo widened his eyes as he scanned his surroundings with a face full of astonishment. He then swept his gaze across Wang Xian. He actually dared to make a move right here. Furthermore, looking at his violent killing intent, it was definitely not as simple as making a move. All students, come behind me. An embarrassed look appeared on his face as he shouted at his students. Teacher Wang, what are you doing? Sensing the terrifying energy around him, he could not help but shout at Wang Xian. He had mastered 5 laws and was not a weak powerhouse. However, he had never made a move in the academy before. He did not dare to be so unbridled. What are you going to do? Do you really think that we are easy to bully? The woman's expression changed drastically when she saw Wang Xian making a move. She immediately shielded her daughter behind her and unleashed the strength of an eternal celestial master level 4. Her strength was slightly weaker than Wang Xian and Teacher Nyo. With such strength, you dare to be so arrogant in the Xiantian Academy? You also dare to act rashly? Then, you shall stay here forever. Wang Xian revealed a cold expression. It was obvious that such a person was not a good person. The heart of light and darkness could also sense a person's good and bad qualities. With such strength, he still dared to be arrogant towards him. If he dared to be unbridled in front of his students, then he would kill him. Hiss. The water snake formed by the formation attacked her directly. At the same time, Wang Xian waved his arm and continued to set up the formation. Numerous blood-red chains appeared in the void. The blood-red chains revealed a bloodthirst that caused one to be in a trance. When the woman saw his undisguised killing intent, golden rays shot out from her body and slashed at the water snake in front of Wang Xian. However, when her attack landed on the water snake, her expression changed drastically. She was not his opponent. Are you going to kill me? The woman's expression was extremely ugly as she shouted at Wang Xian. Walala! In the next moment, the blood-red chains attacked the woman. The huge gap made it impossible for him to withstand the attacks of the water snake and the blood-red chains. Poo. When she was unable to dodge in time, the chains penetrated her body and wrapped around her body. Ah! The woman let out a shrill roar as her eyes revealed a look of extreme fear. This young teacher really dared to kill her. Flee! Fear appeared in the woman's eyes, and her figure began to turn illusory. However, at this moment, the surrounding black hole trembled, and an inexplicable suction force made it impossible for her to return to her eternal divine kingdom. Not good. What kind of formation is this? No. The woman let out a mournful cry, and her face was filled with panic. What is this? Teacher Niu's expression changed drastically as well. He could sense that the woman wanted to escape. However, the black hole around her emitted an inexplicable tearing force, making it impossible for her to escape. What kind of formation is this? It's so terrifying to trap the Eternal Lord. Teacher Niu's expression changed drastically as well. His eyes were filled with fear. At this moment, the blood-red chains penetrated the woman's body and pulled her towards Wang Xian. No, don't kill me. Don't kill me. The woman was completely terrified at this moment. She shouted at Wang Xian with a face full of fear. At the back, Kai Xiaoqing and all the students from Class 2 were completely dumbfounded. They never expected that the teacher from Class 1 would be so violent and vicious. He was actually going to kill Kai Xiaoqing's mother. Furthermore, the other party's mother was completely helpless. No, mother. At this moment, the arrogant Kai Xiaoqing also panicked and shouted loudly. Chapter 2293. 2293 was in the midst of the horror of killing everyone. Walala! In the empty space of the black hole, a blood-red chain rang. The woman widened her eyes and looked at Wang Xian with a face full of panic. Her body was trembling non-stop. At the back, Kai Xiaoqing's face was filled with fear. She was shouting loudly for her mother. All the students in class 2 shuddered and were trembling. Bang! Wang Xian stretched out his hand and grabbed the woman's neck. There was a hint of a smile in his eyes. Metal attribute. Cough cough, don't kill me, don't kill me. If you kill me, you have also violated the laws of the Tianzi continent. The woman trembled as she saw Wang Xian grabbing her neck. Intruding into the Xiantian Academy and using the might of the Eternal Lord to suppress the students, you deserve to die. Wang Xian stared at the woman coldly and said with a grim expression, "So you go to hell." Wang Xian's mind stirred. Soul Catcher. When the Soul Catcher was activated, the woman's face instantly became absent-minded. There was even a hint of fear and despair on her face. But very soon, Wang Xian withdrew the Soul Catcher. A terrifying pressure was transmitted into her mind. Summon your eternal kingdom. He shouted softly and transmitted it into the woman's mind. The woman, whose face was lifeless and her eyes were pale, opened her mouth slightly. Behind her, an eternal kingdom slowly appeared in the sky. However, the black hole was a little small. This space could not contain her eternal kingdom at all. Wang Xian moved his body and the phantom image of the Dragon Palace appeared behind him. He pulled the eternal kingdom into the Dragon Palace. Cough, cough, cough. At the same time, the woman disconnected from her eternal kingdom. Blood kept spurting out of her mouth and her eyes regained a trace of color. However, this trace of color was more of despair. No, no, don't kill my mother, sob, sob. At this moment, Kai Qiaoqing, who was at the side, had a complete breakdown. Her eyes were bloodshot as she kept shouting at Wang Xian. Don't kill my mother. It's Shangguan Zhihan or Shi Jingyang. They are the ones who came looking for us to cause trouble for your student. It's all them. Don't kill my mother. Woo woo, it's all them. No, no, teacher. She sat on the ground with a horrified expression and begged Wang Xian for mercy. Wang Xian's hand movements paused slightly. Shangguan Zhihan? Shi Jingyang. Shangguan Zhihan, Shi Jingyang? Aren't they the Heavens Order disciples of the Beast Tamer Institute? They are also famous in our institute. They were the ones who instructed Kai Qiaoqing and the rest to do it. Everyone around was slightly stunned when they heard Kai Qiaoqing's words. They were filled with astonishment. Their actions 5 days ago were actually instigated by the 2 heavens favorites of the Beast Tamer Institute. Why? This made some students think of the rumors about Teacher Wang on the AI recently, and some people had some understanding. So someone was behind it on purpose. But looking at the powerful and terrifying Teacher Wang in front of them, they could imagine that Shangguan Zhihan and Shi Jingyang were probably going to be in trouble. Perhaps they were going to be killed. So what if they were killed for slandering an eternal God Lord level powerhouse in secret? Even if he couldn't make a move on the surface, it would be easy to kill them in the dark. You're courting death. Wang Xian shouted coldly. His palm landed on the woman's head and threw her into the Dragon Palace before disappearing instantly. No! Kai Qiaoqing screamed in despair when she saw this scene. Her mother was an eternal Lord-level powerhouse. Her mother doted on her very much. It was also because of her mother that she had developed such an arrogant and despotic personality. She did not put anyone in her eyes. In fact, 5 days ago, if not for someone beside her reminding her, she would have struck even more ruthlessly. But now, her mother had been killed directly from behind. She did not even run away. When all the students in Class 2 saw this scene, their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with fear. An expert who was almost on par with their teacher was killed by the teacher of Class 1. He was killed right in front of them. This was too terrifying. When Teacher Niu saw this scene, his heart pounded violently. He could sense that Wang Xian's strength was about the same as his. However, this strange space could actually prevent the Eternal Lord from escaping. He couldn't do such a formation. The reason why the Eternal Lord was so difficult to kill was that they could escape in an instant. However, if they encountered Wang Xian, they would really die. Even he didn't dare to fight against such a person. In particular, the other party was too unbridled. They actually dared to kill that woman. Even if what happened today was the woman's fault, killing her would be too serious. If they were to really bicker, he would have to pay a heavy price. When he heard Kai Xiaoqing's words, his expression turned ugly as well. Is what she said true? Teacher Niu stared at Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Feiyuan with a dark expression as he asked in a low voice. Teacher Fui. At this moment, the two of them had just been released from the array curse. When they saw this scene, they almost cried. If they had known that Teacher Wang was so terrifying and so unbridled, they wouldn't have dared to do such a thing no matter how much benefits he gave them. Even an Eternal Lord-level expert had been killed. If the other party wanted to deal with them, they wouldn't even know how they died. Although the laws of the Tianzi continent were perfect, an expert trying to assassinate a weakling was completely undetectable. You're courting death. For the sake of two students, you actually dared to provoke an Eternal Lord. When Elder Niu saw their expressions, he revealed an extremely furious expression. How could an Eternal Lord-level expert be so easily provoked? Even if you were a student of the Xiantian Academy, the other party would still dare to kill you in secret. Especially since this Wang Xian knew how to curse the formation. If he were to kill them, it would be too easy. No one would be able to find any evidence. In a while, kneel down and beg Teacher Wang for forgiveness. Tell him everything. Elder Ani looked at the two reckless fellows and his face turned black. If they were not the sons of his relatives and friends, he would not care about the two fellows who were courting death. Yes, yes. Yes, teacher. At this moment, they knew what to do even without Teacher Niu's instructions. The other party had killed an Eternal Lord without any restraint. At this moment, the surrounding formations suddenly let out the sound of collapsing. Wang Xian raised his head and saw someone attacking the formation outside. He waved his arm. But, with a wave of his arm, he withdrew the formation. The moment the formation withdrew, the surrounding sounds of the world wailing could be heard. Outside, more than 10 teachers saw the formation retreating and sensed the changes in the world. Their expressions changed drastically. The Master of God has fallen. What happened? An old man roared in anger. His face was filled with vigilance. The formation disappeared. Their eyes were fixed on the area below and swept across everyone. Teachers, there is an expert who broke into the Xiantian Academy. He has been killed by me. Wang Xian saw more than a dozen teachers outside. Some were strong and some were weak. He spoke nonchalantly. Chapter 2294. 2294 killed everyone in a terrifying manner. Boom, boom, boom. The mournful cries of heaven and earth resounded in the sky above Xiantian Academy. This time, all the students and teachers raised their heads in shock. Their faces were filled with shock. The mournful cries of heaven and earth represented the fall of an eternal God Lord-level expert. How could such an expert fall in Xiantian Academy? Could it be an Eternal Lord-level powerhouse who had passed away? Some teachers flew over quickly. In front of Class 7, more than a dozen teachers looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. His calm voice caused everyone to be stunned. An powerhouse has barged into the Xiantian Academy. The teachers frowned slightly and showed a stunned expression. Which expert dared to barge into the Xiantian Academy? This was simply courting death. In the entire Xiantian domain, the safest place was the Xiantian Academy. Barging in here was no different from courting death. No one dared to do it. Teachers, you have to uphold justice for your students. He killed my mother, he killed my mother. Right at this moment, an incomparably mournful voice came out from Kai Xiaoqing's mouth. She knelt on the ground and roared with a face full of malevolence and despair. Ha! When the teachers heard her, they were even more stunned. Their eyes were sparkling. Your mother is not from the academy. However, because of the sparring between students, you were injured and came here to suppress the students of the Xiantian Academy. You deserve to die. Wang Xian stared at Kai Qiaoqing and said coldly. When the teachers heard their words, their faces were filled with astonishment. Teacher Niu, what happened? One of the teachers asked Teacher Niu, who was at the back. It's indeed as Teacher Wang said. Teacher Wang's students had seriously injured her. Her mother came to interrogate her and was killed by Teacher Wang. Although the students' parents can enter the academy directly, her mother's behavior was indeed a little too excessive and arrogant. Teacher Niu was silent for a moment before he spoke up. He was obviously speaking up for Wang Xian. Now that Kai Qiaoqing's mother was dead and his two students were involved, he could only try to curry favor with Wang Xian so that he wouldn't hold a grudge against them. The parents of the students actually dared to come to our academy to denounce us. So what if they're dead? A seemingly rude teacher harumphed coldly when he heard his words. Clearly, in his opinion, he should just kill them. The other teachers fell silent. It was wrong for outsiders to barge into the Heavenly Academy and act arrogantly, but killing them directly was a little too serious. Let the Academy's leaders decide on this matter. An elder said softly. The other teachers also nodded. They couldn't interfere in this matter. Teacher Wang, it's our fault. We shouldn't have listened to the bewitchment of Shangguan Jihan and Shi Jingyong. It's our fault. At this moment, at the back, Zhao Yuanfeng and Niu Fin were kneeling on the ground and begging Wang Xian for mercy. Wang Xian glanced at them and didn't bother with them. I'm going to take care of some matters. Please inform Director Jean about this matter. Wang Xian spoke to Teacher Niu and flew towards the west. Director Jean? All right. Teacher Niu was slightly taken aback. He nodded his head and looked at Wang Xian. How did this involve Shangguan Jihan and Shi Jingyong from the Beast Taming Academy? When the teachers saw the sudden situation, they walked over and asked in astonishment. Shangguan Jihan and Shi Jingyong knew that they were also famous students of Xiantian Academy. Shangguan Jihan and Shi Jingyong found a few freshmen and severely injured Wang Laoshi's student. They might have spread bad news about Wang Laoshi. Oh no, he went to the west. Could it be that he is going to kill Shangguan Jihan and Shi Jingyong? As Teacher Niu spoke, he suddenly raised his voice and a look of shock appeared on his face. What? The surrounding teachers were taken aback. It's hard to say. If he dares to kill an eternal God Lord, he might be able to kill two students. Following which, Elder Niu frowned and continued speaking with an ugly expression on his face. Report this to the directors immediately. An elder opened his mouth slightly and hurriedly spoke. At this moment, more and more teachers rushed over. When they had just understood the situation here, they were also somewhat dumbstruck. The new teacher of the new student class 1 had actually killed an Eternal Lord rank 4 expert, causing him to not even be able to escape. Such strength was truly terrifying. Thinking that he might have gone to kill two students now, the other teachers were even more dumbstruck. This was too unbridled. The teachers were so shocked, not to mention the students of Class 1, Class 2, and Class 7. They looked at Teacher Wang's disappearing figure with astonishment. Shangguan Jihan, Shi Jingyong. They should be the two from the House of War Beasts. Wang Xian flew in the direction of the Beast Tamer School and took out his AI to search. Both of them were famous people in the Xiantian Academy, so they could easily find out a lot of information. When he thought about how the two of them dared to target him in secret, a murderous intent flashed across his eyes. He had brought this upon himself. He came to the sky above the Beast Taming School and scanned his surroundings with his yin-yang and 5 elements dragon eyes. Soon, he saw two familiar figures in a huge building in the middle. Beast Taming Ground, the largest beast taming ground in the Beast Taming Academy. At this moment, in the center of the Beast Taming Ground, Shangguan Jihan and Shi Jingyong were standing in front of a few sea monsters. There were many students gathered around them. The two of them were the center of attention in the mysterious Sky Academy. Wherever they went, there would be people following them. In particular, the two of them were relatively handsome. There were more than a dozen girls gathered around them. The two of them were just about to purchase some battle beasts from the academy when the battle at the front lines caused all of their battle pets to fall. It's a pity that we don't have many divine stones left. The two of them looked at the sea monster in front of them and felt a little helpless in their hearts. The collapse of the battle beast house had caused them to have quite a number of meteorites. Brother Xingyang, even if you don't have any more divine stones, you can still purchase battle pets with 9 wisps of divine fire. You're not like us, who are too poor. A girl pouted and said from the side. Hee hee, when your beast taming skills improve a little more, you won't be lacking in divine stones. Shi Xingyang smiled faintly. His face was filled with a hint of arrogance. Clap, clap, clap. Just as they were talking, Wang Xian slowly walked over to them. He looked at Shengguan Zhihan and Shi Jiang who were in front of him. His eyes were filled with indifference. To provoke a powerhouse, you have to pay with your life. When Wang Xian was 20 meters away from them, his voice entered their ears. Huh! The two of them were slightly stunned when they heard this voice. They turned around in astonishment. The people who were surrounding them also turned around in astonishment. It's you. When the two of them saw Wang Xian, their expressions changed drastically. A hint of fear flashed in their eyes. You brought this upon yourself. Wang Xian looked at them. With a wave of his arm, a terrifying energy engulfed them. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.